Eugene, Oregon. Hello there.
Mr. Williams.
It is I.
It is a pleasure to talk to you.
Well,
I feel like we're some kind of a long-lost brother.
Well, that's a very good feeling. I appreciate that. What's on your mind?
I first ran into you about, it's been about 13 years ago, I guess, broadcasting from your living room.
Yeah, it's about 11. You're right.
Well, it was 13 for me. I was convalescing from putting a tri-pacer into a power line that some idiot ran across the end of an airstrip.
A tri-pacer? Man, that's an old airplane.
Oh, PA-22. Yeah. Good airplane.
Had the little handbrake in the middle there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I've flown that once or twice.
But, it's interesting, too. I had an opportunity to go to college the same way you did to play football, and they gave a war I had to go check out, and which is why I feel like we got to be some kind of brother.
There you go. What's on your mind?
My wife, about 3 months ago, was coming home from work on a city bus. A guy ran a stop sign, and the bus broadsided his pickup, and she was bumped along the bottom of the bus from amidships up to the front of the bus on her rear end, and did a little damage to her sacroiliac.
Was she standing up when this happened?
No, she was sitting down, but buses don't have seat belts.
No.
And wasn't seriously damaged. Refused to let the paramedics take her to the doctor, which probably was a mistake. This happened late in the evening, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening. The next morning, I carted her out and took her to the doctor, and there's no serious damage, ligament damage, that sort of thing. She missed a couple of weeks of work. Had a lot of, we've incurred, about $2,500 worth of medical expenses and lost wages.
Well, let's separate the two. How much of the medical expenses were not reimbursed by your insurance company?
None of it has been reimbursed as yet.
Well, you have hospitalization insurance?
Yeah, but in that it was a motor vehicle accident, the HMO wouldn't touch it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, would your own automobile insurance cover that?
Well, this is ironic. She doesn't drive. The car is in my name. The policy is in my name. She's not covered on it. If she'd been in my car, she would have been covered.
Okay, go ahead.
But anyway, she and a couple of her friends who were also on the bus, co-workers, all contacted an attorney, and the guy told them to see what the insurance company offers, and we'll go from there. She got an offer today from the insurance company that
representing who?
Representing the driver of the vehicle that caused the accident.
The truck?
Yes.
Okay.
And it covers her expenses, period. And
expenses is defined lost wages?
Lost wages and medical expenses.
Okay.
I think that she should be entitled to something for the night she laid awake, keeping me moaning and complaining, and couldn't sit down and couldn't stand up, and frankly, she's still. When she bends over to pick something up, she grabs her lower back because it hurts. The insurance company is pressing her for a settlement.
Well, she doesn't have to sign.
Well, that's true.
There's no obligation on her part to do anything.
Yeah.
I think this is relatively early in the game. I wouldn't if I were she.
Yeah, well, I think she should be entitled to more than just her medical expense.
Well, there's the pain and suffering thing, and I have my own opinions on that, as you may know. But without regard to that, this is a relatively recent event, from what you tell me.
Yeah.
And I think it would be prudent to wait a little bit to make certain there are no ongoing injuries. Now, as to the pain and suffering thing, I'm sure you can negotiate something. How much, I don't know. But something.
Yeah, well, I was wondering if, the attorney says if you can work something out amicable to both of you, go for it.
Well, he seems like an honest guy.
Well, yeah.
I'll give them that.
And
if you don't feel it's amicable, if you don't feel it's enough, then by all means, then you engage the attorney.
Yeah, okay, well.
But since this happened so recently, I'd let the thing mature a little bit if I were you.
Yeah, okay, makes good sense.
I do wish you well, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Take good care. There's a lot to be mulled over, though, when you're settling insurance claims. This business of the HMO won't touch it, and because it's a vehicular accident, that's a local thing. In some states, you're obliged to go to your automobile carrier and so on and so forth. You should realize if you do collect, and you've collect from the party that caused the accident, let's assume it's cut and dried, and you have been not reimbursed, but your medical expenses have been paid by some other insurance coverage. They, meaning the people put the money up, are entitled to be reimbursed. So, for sake of discussion, if you had $1,000 worth of bills, and then the other guy's insurance hands you $1,000, you just can't poke that in your pocket. If the bill's been paid by somebody else, they get to get reimbursed. So you don't want to kid yourself that, oh, well, I'm going to make some profit on this one, or maybe profit isn't the most appropriate term, that I'm going to have some extra money because the bills have been paid by my Blue Cross or whatever it happens to be. You have an obligation to reimburse them, so you don't get the double dip. And that's something a lot of folks don't know until after the fact and to their regret. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Sacramento, California. It's your turn in my world.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Great. Well, I love your show.
Well, thank you, Guy.
I've listened to it for about 5-6 years. I got a little problem. I'm signed up with a martial arts school.
I'll be a killer with your hands, huh? Or hands and feet, I guess.
Oh, it's good fun.
Good exercise, certainly.
Yeah, that's correct. The school's having a little bit of a problem. They've lost quite a few of their instructors, and all the ones that we're accustomed to and used to are gone.
Why?
I don't know.
Probably because they didn't pay them.
Probably, I'm not quite sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we're signed up with a 1-year contract through a independent company, other than the school itself.
What, a marketing company of some kind?
Yeah, I guess it would be called something like that. Yeah, they in other words, it's an outside company that carries the contracts. And
yeah, but they contacted you and hustled you in some way.
No.
How then?
No, through the school when we signed up. In other words, they don't.
Oh! I think what you're telling me is the outside company is carrying the paper for you.
That's correct.
Correct. They sold what the school did was you signed an agreement to pay them over an extended period of time.
That's correct.
And the school sold the paper to a finance company. They're called a holder in due course.
Correct.
And even if you have a beef with the school, you got to pay them. Even if the school goes broke, you got to pay them.
Wow. Is there any way to get out of it?
Not that I'm aware of. It was they in good faith purchased, I'm sure at some discount, the contract that you signed with the school, and they advanced the money then to the school.
No, that I know they don't do.
No.
Because what they do is we make a monthly payment. And then when they collect from all the students, a check is sent to the school. So I know that for a fact.
Then they didn't purchase the paper.
That's correct. They're just
a collection agent.
Basically, that's what they are.
That's a different matter.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to get out of your contract? Is that it?
Right. There's nobody there that's qualified.
How do you determine that?
By age and by ranking.
Well, no, wait. You mean age are too young?
Well, yeah, 15 years old for instructors is a little too young.
I guess, although if the instructor has the appropriate levels, belts, I guess they call them.
Correct.
I mean, I don't suppose age would be a factor, but you're saying that they do not.
That's correct.
Yeah, I think that would be if they don't have the appropriate people there. And see, appropriate's a tough thing to describe here too, because what did they in their contract? Does it refer to what levels of accomplishment the instructors will have?
That I don't know. I don't think so.
What does it say?
It's basically just a total separate contract with, in other words, you're going to put so much down and so much a month, and that's it. I mean,
It doesn't say what you're getting for this?
It says you're going to get, so many classes a year.
That's all it says, classes.
That's correct.
Well, you see, that gets a little hairy, doesn't it?
Right.
Because they are providing classes still.
That's correct.
It's just the question of are they providing the type of instruction that you thought you were buying?
Correct.
How much money's involved here?
About $1,000.
Outstanding now?
Correct.
How far do you want to pursue this?
Well, as far as I have to.
Well, you see, the move is up to them.
Okay.
You can't really do a whole lot. If you withdraw, you can write them and say, I am withdrawing for the following reasons.
I've done that.
All right. Now, well, there's little you can do until they do something, which means take you to court.
Okay.
Have they done so?
No, but they've responded with, we don't care about who's there, who's not there. You have to still pay. I mean,
what does the letter say exactly?
I'm sorry?
What does the letter say exactly? Can you remember?
The letter just stated to the fact that we were still responsible for the payment. It was just plain and simple, very short, cut and dry.
On what basis? It didn't say.
It didn't say.
This is from the other company.
That's correct.
Are you sure they didn't? Well, it doesn't matter. If they are holders in due course, you're stuck.
Okay. You mean in other words, if they bought the...
That's correct.
They bought it out.
If they're just an agency for collecting, that's a different matter.
Okay. I'm positive they are just an agency.
No, I wouldn't be positive of anything.
Okay.
You got to be a little careful with that.
Okay.
But my position would be you're not providing the service. Let's see if they want to go to court, let's go to court and see what happens.
Okay. So,
you're no worse off than you are now.
Okay. Could they ruin my credit by that?
Here we go again. If you're going to worry about being blackmailed for your credit, there's no hope for you. That's what it comes down to.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, it's a good-looking kid you got there. Turn the kid over and with a loss of your credit.
Jeez. Okay.
I do wish you well,
Thanks,
guy.
Bruce.
Hey, hang in there. I'm Bruce Williams. And of course, this is Talknet. We go now to Wenatchee. That's a great name. Wenatchee, Washington. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How you doing tonight?
I could be better.
Well, I haven't been around that many years, but I've listened to you for a couple, and I finally have a chance to tap your worldly knowledge.
Look out, kid. Here we come with both barrels. What's happening?
Well, my wife and I, we bought a vacation package, a Florida, Bahamas cruise package.
Did you buy this because someone solicited you on the telephone, or you got something in the mail?
I think it was a little both. We got it in the mail, I'm assuming through our credit card.
Mm-hmm.
Got the phone call, and I checked it out. It deals with reputable companies and whatnot. But this is our first trip out of the country, or even within a 3-state radius, and so I was calling on you since you've traveled out of the country so many times.
Well, you're not going very far out of the country, about 75 miles.
Well, for us here in Washington State, it's quite a ways. So.
It's a long haul. Well, but I'm trying to get to this may come as a shock. Florida is still part of the lower 48.
Well, yeah, at any rate, I was wondering what kind of travel tips you had, because I'm sure, once we get out of off the coast of Florida, that we're going to run into a lot of things that we hadn't counted on.
I can't imagine you'll have a problem. I don't think you have much of a problem. You're going just to the Bahamas, over to Nassau, or to Freeport?
The Grand Bahama Island.
Freeport.
Yeah, Freeport.
Okay, it's only about 75 miles off the coast of Freeport.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a little farther than that.
Well, I don't think so.
It's
only a hop, skip, and a yodel by airplane.
Be on any unexpected, any twists or turns that we might encounter once we get it
would be helpful if you have a passport, although it's not required.
That was one of the questions I had for you.
But get a passport. I mean, they're good for 10 years.
Now, what about the people on the island? We're staying at one of the resorts down there, and people say, well, don't carry cash, don't take your credit card, travel.
Oh, that's
so many different things, and
that's a lot
for the natives, and so we thought it was better.
A lot of nonsense.
Oh, is it really?
And so they first of all, the people in the Bahamas are a whole lot more friendly than they were a couple decades ago. I tell you that. I've been there then. I've been there relatively recently, and I'll be there again another few weeks.
Is it? Do you find it enjoyable? I've heard you talk about.
Yeah, it's not.
Some you like, some you don't.
Yeah, the Bahamas. Well, it's not. There's not a hell of a lot to do in the Bahamas.
Well, I'm looking forward to the gambling and the duty free.
I'm sorry.
I'm looking forward to the gambling and the duty free, product.
Well, the duty free I wouldn't worry about. There's no big bargains to be had.
Oh, really? Okay.
The gambling, much the same as any other place. You're a lot closer to Las Vegas and Reno, and Reno, the gambling in northern Nevada is not as friendly as southern Nevada, and is not as friendly as the Bahamas.
Well, this is good.
In terms of the rules.
Well, our first honeymoon was kind of a bust, so this is kind of something for us that we can actually get away and have a good time.
Have a good time. You hit the beaches. I mean, the restaurants are okay. They're acceptable. They're not great.
Now, I do have one question for you. As far as taking food out of the country, my wife and I are on a weight loss program in which you buy the food, and I
give it a break for 4 days.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they would allow you to take it out or if it just...
Oh, you can take it out, but give it a break. If you're going to go all that way, I'd give it a break. Look, I don't mean that you're going to go up and have a food orgy, because that's foolish. But I mean, you can get. What kind of a regimen are you on?
Well, it's about an 1,800 calorie diet. It's low fat, high carbohydrate type of thing, and it's working really well. And
what's the name of the program?
Right now, I've lost about 30 pounds, and
what's the name of the program?
It's Nutrisystem.
Yeah, okay.
And like I said, all their food is packaged.
Well, you're not going to be able. I know what the Nutrisystem is.
Okay.
I would give it a break if it were me.
Okay, that's what
you can buy, and you can have fish, you can have cereals in the morning, that sort of thing. And there's plenty of restaurants where you can get fish and whatever, but I don't think you're going to walk in and with your prepared food packages.
Okay.
That's just not going to fly.
Alrighty.
And for a few days, I don't think it's going to. Just eat sensibly. That's all.
Yeah, all right. Well, I wanted to thank you for the time, and like I said, I talked to my family and whatnot who haven't traveled out of Washington State, and they tell me all these weird things, and so I'm.
What weird? I got to ask you, what weird things did they tell you?
Well, don't turn your back. Make sure you keep your wallet. Taped to your stomach, because as soon as you turn around, somebody's going to pick you.
Well, that's Seattle you're talking. Isn't that Seattle you're talking about?
Actually, Seattle's not bad.
No, what I'm trying to get to is, I don't know, the people you're talking to sound like they're paranoid.
Well, that's just it, and so then it makes me paranoid.
Have they ever been have these people been anywhere?
Within about an hour's drive, I'm sure, but...
Well, that's... forget about that. Look, you have to be prudent anywhere you travel.
Mm-hmm.
You don't walk around flashing large wads of money if you're smart, but that's true in Wenatchee, too.
Oh, yeah, anywhere.
I mean, any place.
All right.
But the rest of this stuff, tape it to your... Come on already. I mean, they've been watching too many late-night movies.
Okay, well, that's good. That's refreshing to know that I don't have to worry about, getting shot in the back or
I don't think so.
Having my life savings stolen from him. We're saving it. My wife's a waitress, and she saves her silver change, in one of those big 5-gallon jugs. And in about 4 months, we've saved enough to pay for our airfare down there and back.
Super. Well, convert that to green money. Don't take the change. No. I wish you well, guy.
All right. Thank you very much, Bruce.
You're very welcome. Have a good trip. I'm Bruce Williams. Tape your wallet to your belly. Whew. Can you imagine how that would smart when you pull it off? This is Talknet. All righty, we go to Fond du Lac. There's a fancy name. Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello there. How are you?
Good. I hope.
Well, you hope.
Yeah.
When I get done beating up on you, look out.
I know.
What's on your mind, baby?
Oh, I got lots of problems.
You do. Well, let's focus on maybe one or two.
Let's see, my father passed away like in 83 and left my mother with a 200-acre farm, and that was put into a life estate for her.
Yeah, so she could stay there for life, but then who owned the farm?
My brother and myself.
All right.
Okay, and that went on for till about 90. My mother ends up in the nursing home.
All right.
And she needed a power of attorney, and I got that.
No, you mean, okay.
Durable power of attorney.
A durable power of attorney, so someone could act on her behalf.
Right.
All right.
Okay, and then I go up to the courthouse because my mother is an alcoholic. She had lots of money, but all of a sudden she's broke. I mean, she ended up broke. She didn't believe in paying taxes, not with that habit. And there was like $9,000 worth of back taxes.
All right. And the property's still in her name.
And my brother and mine.
All three names?
It's hers, yeah. The tax bill comes.
No, but I'm not asking you. Whose name is the property in?
Must be in all three then.
Okay, go ahead. So she didn't pay, what kind of taxes? Income taxes or property?
Real estate.
Oh, okay.
So I picked them up every year, enough to keep it from going under. I mean, I didn't come up with the whole work.
Right.
And I'm hounding my brother, and I don't get anything out of him.
What's he have to say?
Well, I don't know.
Well, yes, you
he
do.
He has to pay taxes.
Pardon me?
To help me pay the tax.
Yeah, what does he say?
He says he don't have any money. So he wouldn't help me do anything. So in 92, I had a parcel appraised, and I had a buyer, and I sold it. I had earnest money. I had the lawyer, and he would not sign.
Who, your brother?
Right.
Why?
That's what we don't know. That was...
Well, did you ask him?
Oh, he had no... He'd just being ornery, I guess. I don't know. But he wouldn't sign.
Well, you keep saying you don't know. I'm sure you do know. Why wouldn't he sign?
He just... I don't know if he thought he could get more money out of it than what we were, or I think.
How much money was involved here?
Well, that was like $15,000, and he thought there should probably been more than that. But I just wanted to get the taxes cleared up, and that 15 would have done it.
I understand.
Anything to pick up these taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But now, this spring, he goes up there and he drops the whole $15,000 up there.
What do you mean drops? What is that?
He paid all the back taxes.
Well, then he did have some money.
Oh, he borrowed it all. Yeah, well, he got it.
All right.
But now, I don't know what's next. I don't know what he thinks he's got coming, all the land, or do I owe him, or...
Well, first of all, you have to kind of settle who paid what. You've been paying some taxes. He paid some taxes. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't in any way diminish your equity in the property.
Right.
Whatever you own before, you own now. If it's in all three names, you have a 1/3 undivided interest. Your mother's still alive, is she not?
Right.
She's in the nursing home?
Right.
Who's paying the bills?
Medical assistance.
Well, they're going to come after her equity in the property, too. How much is this farm worth right now?
Let's see. Maybe 164.
Well, the 50,000 of her equity, I bet you the state's going to come after, as they should. As long as there's value there's no reason why the rest of the taxpayers in your state should be paying for her.
That's right.
Well, that's what then they'll probably come after that property.
But see, that was put into the life estate business was done in like how many years?
But the life estate is a different matter. That's I've asked you some questions and I'm relying on your information. I said to you much earlier in our conversation, in whose name is the property? And you said, my mother's, my brother's, and mine. Mm-hmm. Well, then her interest is, forgetting the life estate, that's granted by all three owners. Actually, two, she's granted to herself. She still has an equity in this property. There's value here. And the state agency is going to go after whatever she owns, either while she's alive or after she passes away. And that's as it should be, in my opinion. And your brother will... The 1/3 that you guys can hassle about the rest, but the state's coming after, and obviously he can claim, she had a responsibility for some of the taxes. Whether or not he'll get very far with that's another story.
Well, see, I have to do the business with her in the courthouse every year.
What kind of business do you do?
Her review to get her on this medical assistance.
Yeah. Do they know she owns this farm?
Yes. Yes. Oh. And they say, if anything is sold, then she gets her little more than 1/3. And they have this chart that says because of her age, she is in this bracket.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, they can't get any of it.
Well, until the property is sold.
Right, until it's sold.
Well, but they're going to be patient. The state's going to be there.
Okay.
But you guys are better off to unload the property.
I want to so bad.
Upon your mom's demise, you can't do it while she's alive, unless you can get a court to vacate the life estate based upon the fact that she's never coming out of the nursing home.
Okay, that's what you have to do?
Well, I believe that's the way it's going to have to go. You see, she has there is an obligation for you to provide the use of this property during her lifetime. Now, if competent medical testimony can establish the fact that she's never coming back because of the prognosis for her illness as such, then I suspect that the court could allow you to sell the property. In that eventuality, the obligation to the state is going to have to be met. But you're going to meet that sooner or later anyways. What difference does it make?
Mm-hmm.
And your brother may or may not get part of his taxes back that he paid in disproportionate amounts, and you may not get your taxes back in even though you paid it in disproportionate amounts. That's a matter, I suspect, for a court to decide if you guys can't agree among yourselves. Hey, it's not easy, kids. It really isn't. But give it your best shot. You try and do what's right. I'm Bruce Williams. Keep in touch. With a $115,000 mortgage, right?
Right.
Which is over 3 times your annual income. Just about 3 times.
Okay.
Not going to make it. Now, if you could cut the house down by $20,000, you probably could do it on your income.
So we're really looking at just the ratio of the amount of the mortgage to the annual income.
Absolutely.
And because hers isn't substantiated, then that's where the question comes in.
That's correct. They're not going to take hers. Unless they take it on a, as you pointed out, a penalty basis for what do they offer you? Let's talk about that.
About 7 3/4, 6 months, every 6 months, 1% with a cap of 10%.
With a cap of 10? You mean 10 additional points or 10 period?
10% from 7 3/4 up to 10.
Well, that's not so bad. Only a 2-point increase then.
Right.
Based upon what indicators?
I think we actually found one that's indexed against the European interest rate.
You're kidding. That's any bargain.
Well, I trusted that more than I guess I did the American.
Why?
I don't trust the things going on in Washington and the calls being made about inflation.
Well, I got news for you. If it happens in Washington, it's going to happen in Germany or any place else.
But I figured the EC would be slower to respond because they need more development.
What are the interest rates in Germany and in the European community right now?
They're running at about 7 and 7.5.
All right. So what's the difference? The Fed rate is under that here.
Well, that's at the discount window. I guess I'm trying to compare equal rates.
Well, I don't see where it's going to be a whole lot of difference, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
I just think that you see, Laura, putting on that, you said 7 and a fraction. Now, if you went in, let's assume that you qualified.
Okay, we're in a denial status right now based on credit because there's one slow pay, actually 2 slow pays.
On your record?
Yeah, on my record.
But let's assume for the sake that you qualified for you and your wife and no problems. What kind of an adjustable rate would they start you off with?
They're going to start us at 7 3/4.
No, that's what they're going to do.
Okay.
No, that wasn't the question I asked you. If you qualified on every score,
okay,
what would the adjustable rate be then?
I don't think I follow you because
well, in other words, they're quoting you 7 3/4. But let's say you're pure as the virgin snow.
Okay.
Your wife she's an American citizen. She has a great job, and you qualify. How much would the rate be then?
Down around 5%.
That low.
Yeah.
So there's a 2.5-point penalty here.
Yeah. We're currently renting, and we could just take this time to store away more money. The house was attractive because it's going to appraise out at a lower value than. Or a higher value than what we would be buying it for.
Well, but that doesn't mean anything.
It made it attractive, you're right.
No, it doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
Because the house is selling for the price they're going to sell to you. You've established the value. That's the real value.
Okay.
If something appraises for $1 million and you can buy it for $100,000, what's it worth?
$100,000.
Exactly so. So don't be dazzled by the appraisal number.
Okay.
I wish you well, my friend.
Thank you, Bruce.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in. This is Talknet. We go down to Syracuse, New York. Hello there. Hey, Syracuse, you there? Well, let's try Greensboro, North Carolina.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, talk.
Okay, my name is Ed. Appreciate you taking my phone call here.
You're welcome.
3.5 years ago, my mother was diagnosed as having a spot on her lungs by a physician in Fayetteville, Fort Bragg area of North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
He told her not to overreact to it, and he didn't follow it up.
He did or did not?
He did not follow it up.
Well, when you say, what did he not do?
He gave her a complete physical. She has a complete physical each year.
Yeah.
Then in 1990, he said he had found a spot on her lungs, but not to overreact. He would keep track of it. During the next yearly physical, he said he was not at all happy with the lung, but he felt the pain she was having was coming from gallstones, so they had gallstone surgery.
Mm-hmm.
In the summer of 1992, she had lost massive weight, and he continued to give her pain pills. This was in June of 92.
Mm-hmm.
4 months later, she was on her vacation in Maggie Valley, North Carolina, at her second home.
Mm-hmm.
They had to take her to the hospital, and they had diagnosed her the first day as having terminal lung cancer and gave her just about 10 months to live.
Oh, dear.
She died this past February 21st. We had filed suit against the attorney who has had problems like this in the past.
The attorney?
I'm sorry, against the physician.
Okay.
Her original physician in Fayetteville. We got some duplicate x-rays from the physician, and my attorney in Durham, North Carolina, sent these x-rays to a radiologist in New York State.
Mm-hmm.
He sent back for the originals because he had said he had thought he had detected something, but he needed the originals. We got the originals, sent them to him in New York State, and he sent back a letter saying that he had not found anything on the originals.
He meaning the physician in New York.
Right, the physician in New York, the radiologist in New York, sent a letter back to my attorney saying that he had not found anything on the original negatives, on the original x-rays, but that he had lost the x-rays.
Oh, dear.
He said that they were in his car and the car was stolen. Now, my attorney, when he got this letter, he dropped the case and gave us our $3,000 deposit back. My question is, where do I go from here? Surely someone must be responsible for something like this.
You would think so.
My attorney just dropped everything without really any explanation, other than he has nowhere to proceed. And he is listed in several publications as one of the top 10 in the state.
I don't know what to tell you. I think we both know what they're saying is that the the evidence doesn't exist anymore.
That's true.
And the question is, who can we hold responsible, if anybody?
Right.
For example, I'm asking a question not for you to answer. I'm just throwing out questions.
Right.
Was the attorney negligent in leaving X-rays in his car? Well, you could say if he lived in a high crime area, where and was driving an expensive automobile that might very well be a target of theft, that could be considered negligent, I suppose.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, you see, I don't know if you need originals to make a determination. I take it there are no copies of these X-rays.
There are copies, but he said that he could not use them because they were not really good quality copies. And let me say this, the records I got, all the written records from the last 5 or 6 years my mother had from this physician in Fayetteville, the original physician, there are none of his notes in there that were in his own doctor's office. Only notes from other doctors to him concerning my mother, but there's nothing in there whatsoever from him. And I tried to confront the doctor. He wouldn't speak to me on it. But they said they'd simply given us all the notes that they had, which was about like 25 or 30 sheets over a period of 6 or 7 years, which is unusual, I've been told.
How old was your mother?
My mother was 69.
From what you're telling, but the attorney that you had contracted to represent you, as soon as these X-rays became missing, said, "I'm out of it," huh?
Right.
No explanation?
No explanation whatsoever.
I don't know.
He just simply dropped the case.
It'd be interesting if we have an attorney or two listening, let them comment, because I don't know. I really don't know. And we may not have anybody comment. I'm going to put you on hold for a minute, okay?
Okay.
If you're an attorney, you heard the scenario here. I'd be very pleased if you give us a shout and just give us the benefit of your thoughts. If someone came into your office with that scenario, how would you handle it? Number 703-413-8381. 703-413-8381. If you're an attorney, I'd be very, very happy to hear from you. Give us the best of your comments. It's something I suppose could happen regularly. If evidence is lost, who is responsible? Does the attorney who chose the doctor, does he have responsibility here? I don't know. 703-413-8381. Counselor, I'd like to talk to you. In the meantime, we'll go to Independence, Kansas. Hello there.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi. I have a question concerning a check that I had sent to my mortgage company.
Mm-hmm.
And I had contacted them several months in advance, telling them that I was just going through a divorce and I'm having trouble making the payments. We had reached an agreement that I would be able to make monthly payments for 4 months and catch up this one payment.
So, delinquent month, okay.
Right.
So it's add to another 25% to your regular payment.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote out the check and I put it in the mail. I wrote it out on the 23rd. I mailed it the 2nd. I had forgotten to take it out of my purse at work and mail it. I found it, put it in the mail the 5th, and it arrived in their hands on the 5th of the month.
Mm-hmm.
They returned it to me and demanded that I pay. Well, actually, they sent me a letter saying your entire note is due. We're going into foreclosure.
Right.
And I was commenting on this at work, and a young lady told me that I really needed to check with somebody because she had mailed in a payment, and because she had sent a check and the company refused it, her bill was canceled, considered paid in full.
I don't think that's true.
Okay.
I have never heard of that. Oftentimes, routinely, if an amount is not what their computer shows it to be, or shows what it should be, they will just refuse it and send the entire amount back. I think you should be able to work this out with the company on a one-on-one basis. When you talk to them, what do they have to say?
I have called every month and talked to them, and I told them that I needed to go ahead and send this in, but they say, no, we need a full 2 months payment. Well, my only option was to wait until the end of the month, send that check, and another check. They accepted it then.
I wouldn't lose any sleep over it.
Okay.
Yeah, anytime anything is the slightest bit off-center, it's going to throw the minor clerks into a tizzy. I wish you well, dear. I'm Bruce for Talknet.
Newsrate.
Doctor had given the appropriate advice. His attorney got hold of the x-rays and sent them to a physician in New York to review. The physician's car was stolen. X-rays are now not available, and the attorney immediately dropped the case. I had hoped that an attorney would call, and we certainly have one from Hartford, Connecticut. Hello there.
Good evening.
Hi, how are we doing, Counselor?
Very well, thank you.
What would you do in a case like this?
The biggest concern he has is that, and I'm not sure, I missed the first 10 seconds of the caller's call. Were they lost in the doctor's car or the attorney's car?
They were lost in the doctor's car, which was stolen in New York.
The concern is that if there's going to be a claim against the attorney, his attorney that he sent them to originally, that sent them to New York,
right,
he has to prove that he would have recovered against the doctor for the medical malpractice.
And how would one prove that?
That's going to be a difficult task unless he has the original x-rays, or if the original doctor that did the work can be shown to be negligent.
But apparently the attorney that he was dealing with felt without those x-rays that would be a very difficult point to prove.
But that's the difficulty he's going to be faced with, that he may have a claim against the doctor for losing the x-ray, but his relief would be the cost of the x-rays. He would really have to prove that he lost something of value, and really have to prove two claims.
Well, if you were the attorney in this case, how would you have handled it? Or what would you do? Would you throw the towel in at that point? Say, well...
I think you would have to hire an attorney that would ultimately hire a doctor or someone who is going to be an expert in that field, and determine whether or not he was able to prove the claim without the original x-rays. And if he has copies of the X-rays, there's no reason why the copies wouldn't show exactly what the original X-ray showed.
Oh, I think he said that the copies were not good copies. Is that true, Greensboro? Greensboro, are you there? I guess we've lost him.
But the problem would still be that generally they're almost duplicates. The fact that they're lost doesn't matter as long as you can prove that the duplicates are good enough representations of the original.
Yeah, one would think so.
And generally they're basically identical copies.
But why do you suppose the attorney would just drop the issue? Here's your retainer back, goodbye.
I think he felt that without the originals, he was never going to be able to prove the case, assuming that the originals were not, assuming that the copies were not appropriate enough. And he may have been concerned that he might have been at some risk for losing, ultimately having them lost. The big problem is that medical malpractice claims are so difficult to prove that he may have felt, based on the doctor's position, that he couldn't prove the case without them, that it wasn't worth pursuing.
That sort of leaves, though, the client up in the air, because he never knows.
It does. That's the difficulty in bringing a medical malpractice claim, that they can be just that difficult to prove.
Well, I guess maybe that underscores the notion that no matter what you give to someone else, you ought to have an explicit copy, not allow the one copy of something to disappear.
Absolutely.
Always have a duplicate.
Again, if you had negligence, and the attorney may have been negligent for doing that, but in order to prove
what the loss would be, right?
Loss, you have to prove what the loss was.
Right.
In fact, you're proving a case within a side of case,
right?
Which is difficult.
I would think. Counselor, thank you so very much. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
We'll do it again.
Thank you. Bye.
Good old Boise, Idaho. Hello there.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, this Bruce?
It is indeed.
Well, good. Hey, I appreciate you taking my call. I think this might be a silly question, but it's just been bothering me quite a bit. I needed to ask you, 'cause I know you give out a lot of good advice and opinions, but I keep dreaming of this particular story for a movie script, and I wanted to find out how would I go about, who would I contact or something like that?
Well,
like I said, I've got this idea of a really good story.
Well, first of all, have you reduced it to writing?
Yeah, I have.
You got a good outline?
I got a good outline, and like I said, I've dreamt about this for the last 6 months, this story, and I keep dreaming it over and over, and I even have the perfect person to play the part and everything else. And I think it would be a really good story and a really good hit.
Well, what kind? Well, is it? There are certain films that would be more attractive to one type of producer than another. As an example,
right?
If it was Disney has a division, Touchstone, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
And they produce a certain genre of films. Universal Studios has their own style of movies.
Right.
If you can figure out where that would fit, first of all, you're gonna copyright whatever you have. And it's called chucking it over the transom. In other words, you're just going to send it in the blind and hope somebody looks at it.
Okay.
An agent is not going to say hello to you, unfortunately.
An agent, you said?
They will not say hello to you.
Yeah, I kind of figured that.
Not without a track record. They get too many overtures.
Yeah, I bet.
Very difficult thing. What you might want to consider doing is put the movie idea in the back of your mind and put it in book form.
Okay, I thought about that.
Well, it would be a whole lot easier to adapt a book to a movie script,
right,
than it would be to just write the script.
Okay.
That would give you something to work with that way.
Sure. Okay.
Remember, it's a very frustrating enterprise. It's fraught with rejection. On the other hand, you may be the guy that hits the lottery. You never know unless you buy that ticket.
Yeah, I know.
You can't get in unless you...
I keep dreaming this story over and over, and I think it's a really good story, really good idea. I'm just the type of person that I have a hard time putting it in writing, but that's where my wife is really good at that.
Well,
I think she can help me out.
Well, let her give you a hand.
Yeah.
And get on with it.
Okay, well, I appreciate the advice, Bruce.
I hope it works out well for you, my friend.
Thanks.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. Let's go to Dublin, Ohio. Hello there. Or Rochester, excuse me.
Well, hi, Mr. Williams.
Don't go away, Dublin, you're next. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay, kid.
You know, I listen to you all the time. You always give out such great advice. I hope you can help me.
Let us do our best.
I got a letter about 2 weeks ago from my insurance company in regards to my homeowner's insurance policy.
Yeah?
Telling me that they have canceled my homeowner's insurance.
Why?
I have 3 claims in 6 years.
Did they cancel or they refuse to renew?
Oh, no, they've canceled me.
They didn't even let it go to the end of the policy period, huh?
No. I mean, and they've been my insurance company for 10 years. And I don't know what to do about this. I mean, I never knew that they could cancel you if you used them. I thought that's what they were for.
Well, you would think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's not quite the way it works. If you have a frequency, they call it frequency of claims. Now, how many claims did you have?
3 in 6 years.
How close together?
One in 1986.
What was that for?
2 storm doors that the glass had busted on them in the wintertime. They flew open. One in 1988.
What was that for?
Had a small fire in one of the rooms in my house.
How much money involved?
About $400. Altogether, total, I bet you there wasn't even $1,500 total.
Well, see, the first 2 you should not have put a claim in for.
Oh, see, now somebody told me I should have. That's the only reason I did.
Who told you should have?
Oh, neighbors.
Well, that's if you don't go to your neighbors for that kind of advice. You see, insurance companies look at frequency. First of all, 3 claims in 6 years doesn't seem like a lot to me. But they look at frequency as much as they do severity of claim. People that have claims have claims. There's no rhyme or reason apparently, but that seems to be the case.
Right.
If you've had 3, you'll probably have another one, and you're a big one waiting to happen. Now, is this? Do you have an agent? Do you not?
I'm sorry?
You have an agent, do you not?
Yes.
Have you talked to the agent about it?
Yes, and he says there's nothing he can do about it.
What is he, a captive agent, meaning he only sells one company?
Yes.
Well, you have to go outside. You have to go to a regular independent broker.
For example?
Just look in your yellow pages for an independent agent.
Oh.
That represents many companies.
Oh.
I'm surprised they canceled you in the middle.
Oh yeah, and I mean they never said anything, gave me a warning. They never.
But I mean, you have a policy in effect right now.
Yeah,
When does it expire?
The 11th of December.
That's the renewal date.
Yes.
Well, that's what I said. They're not renewing you.
Oh no, I called him and he told me it's canceled. There's.
No. But hold it.
Oh.
But if nothing had happened.
Yeah.
When did the policy expire? If they hadn't canceled you, when was it set to expire?
Well, I guess on the 11th.
Yeah, they didn't. I don't think they didn't cancel you. They refused to renew you.
Oh, okay.
There's quite a difference between the two.
I gotcha.
Oh, I would just go down and find yourself an independent agent.
Oh, okay. So that's what I have to do.
That's what you got to do.
Okay.
Make certain the house is in good shape, no junk in the yard, place looks good.
Okay.
Because they will come out and look in all likelihood.
Right, I'm sure they will. Yeah, they're probably going to come out and take pictures like they did when I first bought the house.
Indeed.
Okay.
I do wish you well, dear.
Thank you.
Dublin, Ohio. Hello there. Welcome to my world.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
I am just fine, thank you.
It's a pleasure to be on the line with you.
Well, thank you.
It surely is. I'm calling because I have one question. I've been teaching now for 8 years, and I'm 32, and I'm making about $32,000. And
$1,000 for every year, huh?
Yeah. And
hey, if you live to 100, you'll be rich.
Oh, well, that would be wonderful, but I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm calling because I'm not sure if I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Well, I don't think anybody is altogether sure what they want to do the rest of their lives.
Well, this is what I'm thinking. I've thought about going back to graduate school so I could make more money.
To do what?
Still in education, early childhood.
Well, in other words,
maybe to pursue a PhD.
Well, do you have a graduate degree now?
No, I don't.
Okay,
just bachelor's.
Then that would bring you up a step or two in the pay scale.
Yeah, and now at the same time, I've also been thinking about maybe starting a smaller daycare, and I know that you've had experience with that. And I don't know what to do, but I know for sure that what I'm doing right now, I won't be able to do too much longer.
Why?
Because I'm not happy, I'm not fulfilled. I've been teaching for 8 years, and I just got a new position, still in the education. But it still isn't what I really want to do.
Well, what are you doing now?
I'm doing a reading job now, and I enjoy working one-on-one. But I feel like I'm worth more than my money.
Well, I guess we all feel that way from time to time as well. Are you planning on going back to school on a full-time basis, or
that would be the only way that I would be able to go, because I have 2 kids. So I would need to go full-time and get it over with.
Well, are you married?
Yes, I am.
Then you could survive financially by doing that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you're giving up, I assume you work for a public school?
Yes.
Then you're giving up tenure, which is a pretty good step.
Yeah.
I'm just pointing these things out, that's all.
I know you sound like my husband. I wanted a neutral.
Well, I'm trying to be neutral. I'm not saying you shouldn't give it up. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm just pointing out that you are giving up tenure.
And it's guaranteed. I know what I'm doing is it's almost, if I want to do it, it's there for me. I don't have to worry about being cut out or
pretty much that's true. On the other hand, if you're unhappy in what you're doing, I don't care what they pay you, you're underpaid. Now, if you went back to get your master's degree, what would it be in?
It would still be in early childhood.
Why?
I don't know. I guess because I do enjoy working with the kids. I do. I just feel like I just wish the money was there.
Well, the only difference in the degree is going to bring you up maybe a half a step on the scale on the guide.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think that's going to make the difference. You're better off to go back on a part-time basis. You're never going to make up the money on that just on the step guide. Suppose it took you 2.5 years.
And that's probably how long it's going to take.
Okay, so that's 60, and figuring 30, 62, that's almost $85,000. How much is a step worth with a master's degree?
Well, it's not worth that much.
It's worth about $2,000 a year, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, so it would take you 35 years to get even. So clearly, financially, that's not the thing to do.
Right. See, that's what I know, and I know you don't have to go back to school to make more money.
Well, no, I'm saying though, you can go back to school, but you ought to go back to school, and if you're going to do it, stay employed. And furthermore, do you get any? Does the district help you with tuition if you?
Yes, they do. They pay for it fully.
Well, that's another very good reason why to do it on a part-time basis. Now, as to opening your own nursery school, that's a different story.
I've checked into it.
That's not an inexpensive venture today. Certainly, it's a good business. I was in it for a lot before it was as popular as it is today. And I had a pretty good-sized school. We had over 400 kids.
I don't have any background experience in that.
Neither do we.
Really?
I have a top one experience.
Other than a degree.
That's it.
Yeah.
We had 3 kids of our own.
Yeah.
At the time, but we didn't know any about it. That's where you learn.
And you just lease a spot that you think might be good?
Well, it's a little more complex than that. In today's world, it's much more complex in that the regulations are far more stringent than they were when I got into that business. They were strict enough then, but today I think the rules are ridiculous. That's another matter altogether.
But that would probably financially be a better outcome than going back to school.
Well, maybe yes, maybe no. When you open a business, you can lose as well as win. There are no guarantees. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you also have to be, in today's world, it requires a rather substantial amount of capital to get into that business. I'd give it some heavy thought if I were. I understand that you got a 7-year itch, if it's about what it comes down to right now, huh?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
I wouldn't burn any bridges right now. For me, I think I might sign up for a couple of courses next semester.
I have.
And see how you like that.
I have.
See how you like getting back to academia, and then make your decision from strength. I do wish you well, dear.
Thank you so much.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in. This is Talknet. Charleston, South Carolina. It's your turn in my world.
Hello, Bruce.
Hello there.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. I'm a little nervous. I got a potential business opportunity I'm looking at. See if you heard of this. It's a surplus broker network.
Yes, I've heard of it.
Oh, is that right? Geez, it's a $5,000 investment.
Yeah, but what you're supposed to do is look for deals, and then they're going to share the profits in you with the deals.
Yes. They give you a fax machine for $5,000.
Oh, boy, there's a gift. Wow!
That's a good one, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And they give you a network of people, and you choose the items you want to sell to other people. And it sounded, I don't know, a little iffy. That's why I wanted to call you.
Well, what they ostentiously want you to do is join in this thing, and you look for merchandise, surplus, excess lines, unsold goods, odd lots, that kind of stuff, right?
Yes, exactly.
And they will help you market it, and they share in the profits, right?
I think so, yes. They didn't say exactly they share the profits.
Well, what did they say?
Well, all they do is send you the faxes, like 2,000 faxes a day. available to you daily.
2,000 faxes.
That's what they said.
You couldn't read 2,000 faxes
Well,
today.
let me see, are available to you daily, which are updated daily, weekly, and monthly. Yes. That's what paperwork says. And you choose the items you want to sell. You mark them up, including qualities. In fact, the computer information with your price to potential buyers.
Of course. Well, I think you'll be $5,000 poor and probably have a cheap fax machine.
Yeah.
How did you hear of this little gem?
It was in a magazine, and I just said, I don't know.
One of those little classified ads in the back of these magazines that give you all kinds of, quote, business opportunities, work at home, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm confident that if you look hard enough among those, you might find something that's worthwhile, but you'd really have to be looking under a lot of rocks.
Yeah.
The overwhelming majority of these schemes have one thing in common. You're going to wind up poorer than you were when you began.
Yeah, even out of Florida.
well, we must be good if it's out of Florida.
Well, I know you live there. I thought you know.
Yeah, no, you got to be you got to ask yourself, if these deals were so good, what do they need me for?
I know. That's exactly what I've been asking about. But maybe it's something I don't know, and I know you would know if anybody.
Well, I mean, I'm very fortunate because I have people like yourself making me aware of these things. I just opened an envelope from a lady from Pennsylvania, from Pittsburgh, and she must have, boy, she's got to be on some sucker list because she's got a half a dozen of these travel deals. You can get a trip around the world for 99 cents, that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And she has to get everybody's sucker list because she's got a whole envelope full of them. Correct. And every one of them, if you read them properly, the information is there, but most people just don't read very carefully. You can't read this stuff as you would read a newspaper article or a magazine article or a book. You got to read it one word at a time.
Right.
And they can give you the world in 2 pages and take it away in one sentence.
I understand.
And that's what you got to learn to read. But I think this is one you take a buy on, you do well.
Yeah. I think I'll save my money.
I would do so if I were you.
Thanks, Bruce.
I wish you well, guys.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, I am very fortunate in that regard because I have so many of you guys and gals let me know about these things. And if you get us a scheme of this kind that you're not sure about, pop it in the mail to me, and I'll do my best to get back to you because we are in the process of doing a book on the subject, and we welcome all comments and materials. Hey, it's been a good hour, kids. I thank you so very much. If you're driving, get that seatbelt on. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet.
That 101% of the way turn his clients onto this feed.
Well, may I ask you this? Why didn't your husband get some of this in writing?
I know. It's too late. I know. That is a very good question. I guess down here, I guess he thought a handshake meant something.
Well, you see, even if the handshake meant something to the salesman, his boss might say, "What are you, crazy? We take you others where we can get them." Pardon?
He spoke to the rep's boss, and the rep's boss also said, "Yes, we guarantee we will not sell it to the other store."
Well, you see, I'm not so sure unless this is their regular see, you can give exclusivity to a vendor, but you just can't arbitrarily say I won't sell to one person. That's illegal. If they customarily only have so many dealers in a given territory, that's one set of conditions.
They do.
Well, those are things you have to know, though. In their overall scope of doing business, do they give exclusive territories? That's okay, but you just can't say, in one neighborhood I'll give exclusivity, but in the next I'll give anybody a job.
No, it's a certain distance apart, and I don't know.
Well, when your husband went back to the companies, what did they say?
Well, he just found out one today and one yesterday.
And has he talked to the companies involved?
He's talked to the rep.
And what do they say?
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't what?
No, I did not sell to this other person.
Yeah.
And so he called up and found out that, yes, actually, he did.
Tell me how he found out that he did. Because he had the product?
I don't know how he found...
Well, in other words, the fact that the guy has the product doesn't mean...
He admitted it. Afterwards, the rep did admit...
Oh, they admitted it. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, that was kind of silly to lie. Well,
exactly. Oh, yeah, he checked him out of the store. Yeah.
Well, I'm not so sure that's a great idea either now, because your husband still, I assume, wants to do business with these people.
He doesn't have to order direct to the rep. He just calls up and puts in an order.
Well, but the rep still gets the commission, doesn't he?
Yes. Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. I'm afraid all you can do is try to compete with this guy. I mean, that's what happens when you get rid of somebody who's knowledgeable in an area. You can't expect them to play dead.
Yeah.
They're going to do the best they can.
Oh, yeah. The reason why he got rid of him was because they were losing money.
Mm-hmm.
There was no room for anybody. You know, his mother is carrying the note. And
looks like now it's going to be more difficult yet. Now you got another competitor.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Good luck.
Okay.
I wish you well there. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. Last evening we were working in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I have had a lot of dental work done, which I hope doesn't. You can't hear it, but perhaps you can. And it's going to be continuing, and it's not the pleasantest thing in the world. And I do offer a real word of thanks to Dave Allen, Dr. David Allen. He's a dentist in Fort Wayne. He was kind enough to visit me in my hotel and do some stuff for me, and I am very, very appreciative. It's really great. People are so nice to me around the country and extend themselves. And Connie and Tom and the rest of the gang out there was a very, very pleasant experience. It really was. One of these days, we'll get to your neighborhood. In the meantime, let's go to Sioux City, Iowa. Hello there.
Hello, Mr. Williams.
It is I.
Thank you so much for taking my call. I have a very unusual question.
You don't.
I would like to know the name of my grandson.
That's unusual. I got to give you that.
I knew it would be.
Let's go from there.
My daughter has a boy, and the boyfriend, I want to give you the name according to the birth certificate.
No. Don't give me any name. Just tell me the situation.
Well, the father's name is first. This is fictitious, but
Okay.
I'm just giving it to you.
All right.
It says Thomas James Smith Jr. and then Jones. Jones is the daughter's name, and Smith is the father. What is that child's last name?
What does the birth certificate say?
It just says that right.
Whatever order it's on the birth certificate, that's what the child's legal name is.
But does that mean that he would have the father's last name and the mother's?
How is it? However it's recorded on the birth certificate.
He would have the whole name.
However it's recorded, yes.
In other words, if that child fills out any paper, he has to put his name.
He can put any name he wishes on there. As long as you can change, you can use any name you want to use, as long as you're not using it to defraud anyone. But you ask what his legal name would be, it would be whatever is on the recorded birth certificate.
I just thought that the very last name on it
would be his surname. The last name on there would be his surname.
Well, that is Jones.
That's the maiden name. It's your daughter's name, is that correct?
Yes.
Then that would be his last name.
That would be legally his last name.
Yes, ma'am. But he can call himself what he chooses.
Yes. But legally, when he signs anything, it should be...
No, it should be whatever he wants it to be.
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm saying to you. He doesn't have to use any specific format.
Oh.
He can call himself what he wishes.
He could call himself Smith or Jones.
And whatever he wishes, or anything else. That's right, as long as you're not doing it to defraud anyone.
Oh.
Now, if it comes down to, for example, getting a passport, now he's got to come up with a name that he can show on his birth certificate in order to get the passport.
Oh.
I take it these two were not married. Is that correct?
No, they're not. And they are going by the father's last name for the boy. And I just never knew that they could just go by any name they want to.
Go by any name you choose.
Well, I've tried all over to get the answers, and I thought you were the last one that I can call that would really tell me.
I think I'm correct in this regard, ma'am. I would also, I'd stand corrected if somebody wishes to dispute it, but I think I'm correct in this respect.
I'm sure you are.
I do wish you well, dear.
And thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
All right, bye.
Dayton, Ohio. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Hello, Bruce. How are you?
I am just fine, thank you.
Oh, great. Listen to your program quite often and thoroughly enjoy it.
Well, thank you.
I have a situation down around Dayton, Ohio here that we bought a home that was recently annexed.
Slow down. Explain what that means, because that is not all done universally around the country.
Okay, basically, we were within the country, and the city annexed...
You're out in the county, in other words.
Right, we were in the county, and the city annexed the county land, so now we are part of the city.
Okay.
We were on a septic system.
Right.
Well, since we were annexed into the city confines, they more or less want to put in a city sewer into our area.
Wait a minute. What do you mean more or less? they were going to put sewers in.
Right.
Period.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we had bought the home approximately a year ago, and in the meantime, we had a lawyer representing us at closing and prior to that.
Right.
And the situation is, they were talking about having a sewer assessment in this area before we'd bought the home.
Right.
What had happened is, when we bought the home, the realtor did not inform us anything whatsoever that there were going to be city sewers put into our area.
Yeah. So?
Not on a disclosure statement whatsoever.
Well, I'm not sure if that's necessary.
Well, I was thinking there might be some type of liability that falls back, that maybe there should be some disclosure that...
I wouldn't think so. That's up to you.
Of checking on it prior to owning the property.
Yeah, before you close. Were you represented by counsel?
Yes, we were.
All right. Did your lawyer call the community and ask if there are any impending assessments?
I would say that he probably did not.
Well, he was remiss in that regard as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether that's actionable is another story. I'd sort of bring up to my attorney. But as a practical matter, what do you care? Your property is worth more with sewers.
That is true. That is true. I'm not debating that whatsoever. I guess maybe it's the $3,500 that concerns me more.
Yeah, I can understand that. But I'll tell you something. If you've ever had a septic tank back up, you will understand the value of city sewers at that point.
I'm sure.
I mean, having been down that street more than once, I can tell you it's not a happy thought.
Okay. Well, like I said, my lawyer, more or less, he told me that for $3,500, he would more or less go ahead and pay that. Wouldn't really...
Who did?
My lawyer.
He said he would do that?
No, he said for me to go ahead and pay it.
Oh, yeah.
Not dispute it, because him going at the fees that he's going at, it wouldn't be worth it for me to invest the time and money into it and still have a chance of losing the...
Well, I don't see. Who would you go after?
Well, he said the only thing really that we could do would more or less be go back to the previous owners.
On what basis?
Possible knowledge of the sewer assessment going through.
Well, suppose he knew it, so what?
Sure.
I don't see where that he's obliged to disclose the fact that he knew an assessment is a possibility.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that possibly if the real estate agency... I guess the thing that I'm saying is that I'm intelligent enough that I think I would have renegotiated, or at least negotiated that into the price of the home if I knew that this was coming through.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't. You see, it could be argued that the house is worth more now, not less.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's true.
Unless the seller was, well, like anything else, it depends who's desperate. If the seller was desperate to sell, and yeah, I'd agree with you. You might be able to. Any point that you can raise may result in a lower price. May. But the guy's liable to say, look, yeah, there's an assessment coming. You're going to have sewers, and that's the way life is. I'm not paying for that.
Sure.
I don't think that you'd be obliged to disclose that. But maybe you would.
Okay.
I mean, that would seem to me that's not the kind of thing that one would be obliged to disclose.
Yeah, because basically the resolution did not pass until we did own the home, actually legally own the home.
But you see, if an attorney were representing me, and I'd go back to my attorney and tell him this, if an attorney was representing me, I would want to have him inquire as to any impending assessments.
Okay.
Impending assessments. And he should have done that. Now, let's be realistic. Would this have killed the deal as far as you're concerned?
Probably not.
I don't think so either.
No, probably not. Probably wouldn't have affected it because we know the house value would have went up anyways.
And sewers are a way of life.
Sure.
Septic tanks are nothing more than stopgaps. It's a poor excuse for a poor substitute for sanitary sewers. I do wish you well, guys.
Hey, thank you very much, Bruce.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.
Frederick, Maryland. Hello there.
Oh, good. How are you tonight?
I am just fine, thank you. How are you?
I enjoy your program. I'm going to take a chance at politely disagreeing with you regarding IRAs, I had a bad instance that I was caught blindsided by, and let me describe it to you.
Sure. Well, show me where our disagreement is, please.
Yes, as I describe it, you'll see. I was self-employed for many years, including up to very recently, and I was able to put away in one particular year $7,500 into a self-employed IRA.
All right.
My son entered freshman in college at a fairly well-known private university that most people, a name that most people would recognize.
All right.
And the university wrote to me and said, "Dear sir," they said, "that $7,500 should have been used for college tuition. We're going to add it back to your income tax report."
Hold on. Back up a little bit. They said because you had an IRA, which would lower your eligibility for a loan or a
No,
grant?
they wanted the full $7,500 to be applied to tuition. I should not have put it into retirement. I should have paid them that $7,500.
Was it a state school?
No, it's a private university.
Start from the beginning. I'm thoroughly confused now.
Okay.
Your kid went to school.
No, well, year one, let's say the year is 1992.
Okay.
I put $7,500 during that year as a self-employed person into a self-employed IRA.
Okay.
Now, when my son begins college at that school in 1993,
right.
the university looks at the tax forms to determine how much the parents ought to be able to pay.
We're looking. What are you looking for? A grant or a loan or
No,
what?
they're looking for how much how much college grant they're going to give us.
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
Yeah,
A grant is a gift.
Right. How much gift money they're going to give us, and eligibility for the Pell grants and staff loans and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Standard stuff. We had put away the income tax forms that we mailed to them showed that we had put away $7,500 into the self-employed IRA.
Mm-hmm.
Letter comes back and they say, "Sir, that money should have been used for college tuition, not for your retirement. Therefore, we will add back in to your eligible money, to your free money amount, the amount of money we think should be free, $7,500 more than what you have reported should be free." Namely, that they allow exemptions for mortgage deductions against your house and cost of doing business and so forth, right? So they added the whole amount of money back and said, "This is what, your eligibility is severely reduced." I wrote them, of course, a letter saying, "Well, gee, what do you do?" I wrote to the individual. I said, "What do you do, Mr. X? When you retired, does the university..."
All right, I want you to hang on just a second.
Yeah.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for Talknet. I'm chatting with a gentleman in Frederick, Maryland. He has a youngster in college, applied for aid, as I understand it, and the university has come back and said you should have counted as income the money that you put into your retirement plan. That's about what it comes down to, is it not?
That's correct.
And I think what he's saying, they're saying is that in your case it is discretionary, as opposed to working for somebody else where you don't have any choice what how your retirement plan works.
But, well, that's true, but
I'm not agreeing with them. I'm saying that's what they're saying.
Well, right. Well, what bothered me about it was, of course, is that I happen to know the university employees do not receive receive their retirement benefits on the basis of longevity, which puts them at a huge advantage over those of us who do not. It's not an equitable situation.
Say that again?
Well, if an employee of a corporation receives retirement benefits on the basis of his longevity, he doesn't contribute money per se. But after X years, after 25 years, he receives a stipend of $1,000 a month or something.
Whatever.
Okay? Yeah, right. Then that person is receiving quietly behind the scenes money that isn't reportable to the university as mine was, because it was out in the open. But
because of your self-employed status.
Yes, but even if I were privately employed and I was using a 401k plan, the presumption is, of course, they would say those monies to the 401k plan.
Your contribution was income, is what they're saying, was discretionary income.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've advised people in the past to set up an IRA.
Absolutely. What you're saying is that you put somewhere where you could have hid it so they wouldn't know about it? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, no, I'm not suggesting you hide it, but if you buy a car, for example, they don't go after that. I'm just telling you, flat out.
Well, yeah, but the car is not an asset that can be, it's not a cash asset. I think what they're saying is, rightly or wrongly, that you had a choice. You could have put money aside for retirement or paid for tuition. You elected to put it for retirement, and they say you can't do that. That's what they're saying. I'm not going to agree with them. But I still believe that it's prudent to prepare for your retirement years. Now, where you and I may have a disagreement is you feel that you should have gotten aid. How much do you earn a year?
No, well, in that particular year, I probably earned in the low 60s.
And you have one kid in college?
Well, no, I had other kids in college at the time, and because of that, the divisions of the monies was fairly lower. In fact, I had 3 in college at that time.
I had 3 in college for 7 years. I know the feeling.
Yes, it's quite a burden. Now that I only have 1 in college, they're hitting me up for a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But the message I wanted to just gently impart to you was that you have suggested to people put money into an IRA.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's actually going to be seen as a college fund for their kids. It's not going to be seen as a retirement account.
No, it's not necessarily. Wait a minute. I'm not sure that's true. I think what they were talking about was the contribution you made that year, not contributions in previous years.
That's possibly right. But if my cousin was deliberately told that in order for him to pay for his kid's college, he'd have to go out and take a second mortgage in the house because that was money that he had available to him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I'm not sure that's anything wrong with that. Why
it is if you clobber the middle class and say we cannot have retirement funds because the value of your home is also a retirement fund as well.
Well, there's another option, isn't there?
What?
Save the kid. Put yourself through school.
This particular boy did not, but my other 3 children attended Ivy League colleges.
Mm-hmm.
You don't about to do that
Then they don't go to Ivy League colleges, that's all.
Well, if you're eligible to go to an Ivy League and you can hang that name on the back of your head on yourself for a long time, it's really worth it. I don't know why.
You see, that's okay. If it's really worth it, then you got to make the sacrifice. I have a different point of view, and I hope we can agree. If you have the money, I see no reason why you shouldn't send your kid anywhere. Do you want to send them? I don't feel any obligation to do that.
Okay.
I feel no obligation whatever. None. Zero. Zip. If you got it, fine. But a lot of us, who paid for your college?
I paid about half, and my parents paid about half.
Well, I paid all of mine, except for the GI Bill. I think I paid for that too with my body.
That was when college at that time cost perhaps $2,000 a year. Now it's up to $19,000 and $20,000.
You're absolutely right. But you also were working for $1 an hour.
The relative value didn't stay the same.
I would agree. But it's not that much different. And so it's different. So what? That's life.
Oh no! I'm not crying.
I have kids that went to Ivy League schools, and I have kids that went to state universities.
I'm not crying all over the place. I merely wanted to say that there are some people may be very surprised to learn that their IRA set aside is suddenly being tapped by a purpose for which.
Yeah, but it was only set aside for that year, not the previous years. They never said cash out your IRA. They only said you should have made a contribution that year.
I guess. And I mean, if I'm in the age group, as many people are, late 40s, early 50s, where there's peak earning years, that's when you want to make the peak contributions.
Absolutely. But then you also you managed to get your wife pregnant a few times in there, and you have to peak out go, too. I do wish you well, guy. I enjoy your
program very much. Thank you for the time, sir.
I appreciate it, guy. Hey, listen, it's a tough problem. I am not of the mindset that everybody is deserving of this, of being helped through school. I do think that loans should be available to every youngster without regard to their parents' income. As long as you're academically capable, I think loans should be made available, and the kid's whole life should be held in hostage until he pays it back, not dischargeable in any way, shape, or form by bankruptcy or anything else. Oh, let me see. Danny, is it? Oh, I take a little time out? Okay. I'm Bruce Williams. I'm back in a second. This is Talknet. Tampa, Florida. Hello there.
How you doing, Bruce?
I'm very well, thank you.
I enjoy your show very much. You give me a lot of good advice over the years. I have 2 questions for you. My first question is, when I first got out of the service when I was about 21, I didn't find a job for a while, and I had 3 or 4 credit cards which charged off.
How long ago was that?
Probably 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And someone had told me that there's a way you can that you can contact a lawyer, he can contact a lender who charged off the credit card or the credit card company, and you could settle for so many cents on the dollar, and that in agreement with settling for so many cents on the dollar, you can get it removed from your credit report, expunged from your credit report. Is this true?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Not to your knowledge.
No, once it's in there, the information is there. They can take out incorrect information, but it was charged off.
Okay. I just thought that maybe, you know.
Again, to my knowledge, that is not possible. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed in the news a couple of days ago where was it? Was it the feds hit up pretty hard on some of these credit repair outfits?
Yeah.
And then I've been saying for years, these guys that say, well, no matter how bad your credit, give us $1,000 and we'll fix it for you. Well, they just can't do that. It can't be done. They're fraudulent. There are things that can be removed. There are ways that stuff can be removed. I don't agree with some of them, very frankly, but that can be done. But on balance, if it's truthful, it's pretty hard to get out.
Okay.
It's not the end of the world either. That'll come around.
Okay. My second question was, I'm a builder by trade, and I'm working with an investor who wants to buy houses, maybe 6 of them a year, fix them up for resale. And we're going to do this in a partnership type agreement.
All right.
And my question was, say if you bought a house for $30,000, put $10,000 in materials, and you could sell it for maybe, $50,000.
Yeah.
You would have to pay capital gains on that $10,000 that you didn't put into the house, correct?
If you held it for over 6 months.
But if you moved it quickly, you would have to pay.
Then it's ordinary income.
So you'd have to pay an income tax on it, or a capital?
No. If you don't hold it, what is it? I think isn't it 6 months for capital gain? In other words, a capital gain tax is lower than ordinary income tax.
Okay.
Capital gain, I believe, is 28%. The Republicans want to not bring it down to 14%, which would be great if they could do it. So capital gain, if you're in the higher tax bracket, is clearly to your advantage.
Okay.
But I believe you have to hold the property for 6 months.
So what kind of, say if I sold it within 2 months of
that, you'd be ordinary income.
It'd be ordinary income tax.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Tax it at a higher rate, in other words.
Okay.
I do wish you well, guy.
All right. Thank you very much, Bruce.
Ashtabula, Ohio. Hello there.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
I just want to tell you, first of all, I listen to your show all the time, and I think you're doing a great job, and you keep it up.
Well, thank you.
My question is this. I'm 47 years old right now, and I've had 2 bypass operations, heart bypass operations.
Not one, but 2, huh?
Not one, but 2. I had my first one at age 33 and the second one at age 42. My problem is this. This is an inheritance problem. I have 4 other brothers, and they all have the same basic problem.
Is that right?
So I'm trying to buy insurance, life insurance, and I bought a home 3 years ago, and I have not been able to buy any insurance that would even cover my mortgage, even in a term life insurance policy.
I understand that.
The insurance companies that I call tell me that I'm too great of a risk, and I tell them, I've talked to several underwriters, and I tell them that, I take care of myself now. I have since my first operation. I work out on a treadmill daily. I have regular checkups, watch my diet, my cholesterol, and I'm in shape. They deny me life insurance.
Right.
The place, in fact, that I go to pay my other insurance premiums at has 2 representatives that sell life insurance.
When you say the place,
in other words, the people that I have coverage with, like for fire and theft, car insurance.
Yeah, just they're a general agent of some kind.
Right.
Right.
My point is that I know of these 2 agents that are there. They're both overweight. I know one has a real high cholesterol problem. I don't think they could pass a physical. And this company that they work for has them insured for a lot of money. And these people are definitely at higher risk of dying than I would be, I would think.
Well, you see, the problem there is, though, that you aren't making that decision. They're deciding what they want to insure, what they don't want to insure. They have certain underwriting standards. If you don't meet those standards, you're out. Now, there are companies that will write different risks at different rates.
Yes, I know.
But a rated policy can be out of reach financially.
Yes, it is. I was just wondering if there wasn't some way or some organization that I might be able to get in touch with to have them take a closer look at the reasons that they're holding back. I think if if a person like myself could, like a treadmill, I take a stress test every year, and I keep myself in shape. Like I said, I know a lot of these people walking around today are greater risk than I am, just in the fact that they don't have regular checkups, they're not watching their diet, and they're not taking care of themselves.
Would you be amenable to a policy that excluded a heart attack?
Sure.
Well, you might be able to find that. You see, there are companies who will write that. you were hit by a truck, or you develop cancer, or a million other things that kill us all off. That's a possibility.
Well, I never tried that approach. That would be something I would try to do. However, most of the places, in fact, just today I made a call to a company, and because my bank solicited me through the mail, offering an insurance mortgage coverage for the balance of my loan.
All right.
And it was a term life policy.
Now, what did you do?
Pardon?
What did you do about that?
Well, rather than me filling out the form that they said to mail in immediately, I called the company direct at an 800 number that they had on the paper.
Yeah.
And the underwriter I talked to just denied me flat out. I said, well, then I'm not going to waste my time filling out this form.
Well, what did the form call for?
It asked you several questions about your health.
What were the questions?
The number one question was, have you ever had any heart trouble?
Did it say ever?
Yes.
Or last for so many years?
No, it said, have you ever had heart trouble?
Ever? Okay, because some of the insurance that's issued that way is not as closely underwritten as other policies.
I see. Is there any organization or anything that I could call?
None that I know of.
Not that you know of.
But if you get a good general agent, good independent agent or broker, if there are companies that write what is called substandard risks.
Substandard risk, okay.
Right. And they write them at a premium, clearly. Now, whether or not, and there are companies that will write policies with exclusions.
Exclusions, okay.
For certain things that if you die of that cause, you don't.
Then you don't collect.
That's correct.
I understand. Okay.
Tell you what, maybe you find somebody. Guys in the insurance business are always anxious to make a sale.
Right.
You hang on a minute, okay?
Okay.
I know we have a lot of insurance people out there. A lot of them get excited about some of the things I have to say. Hey, here's a red-hot client here. Now, clearly, he's had 2 heart operations. He would like to buy life insurance. He takes care of himself, watches his diet, and all that sort of thing. Is there anywhere he can go for a rated policy? Maybe you can sell him a rated policy. Number 703-413-8381. 703-413-8381. One more time, 703-413-8381. If you're an insurance agent or broker, let's talk. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I'm chatting with a gentleman in Ashtabula, Ohio. He has had a couple of heart operations. Good shape now, 40 years old, thereabouts. Can't buy life insurance. I have an insurance agent from Palm Harbor, Florida. Hello there.
Bruce, how are you?
I am real well, thank you. Can you help my friend out in Ohio?
Yeah, certainly.
You guys are talking. I'm going to sit back and enjoy my Diet Coke.
Okay, have you been declined by an insurance company recently?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there are several companies that in the event of a decline will take an application on you and issue you life coverage on a guaranteed issue basis.
What does that mean, a guaranteed issue basis?
Pardon me?
What does that mean?
A guaranteed issue basis means there are no medical requirements. The policy will get issued. All you do is you put down your social security number, your birth date, and your name, and you'll have life insurance. But there are limitations in the policy. They have a limited death benefit within the first 2 years. And what will happen if you die within the first 2 years, the company will pay you 11% on your premiums to the beneficiary. If you get through the 2 years, you'll get the full face value of the policy.
That sounds fair.
Yeah, the 11%, that's a good return on your money. I mean, where are you going to go for that nowadays?
They give you 11% of your premiums?
On the premiums paid. If you die within the first 2 years, your beneficiary will receive all your premiums with 11% interest.
So if you paid $1,000 interest, $1,000 premium, you died exactly a year later, your beneficiary would get $1,111.
Exactly.
Well,
but if you live over like $1,110.
Well, so for $1 you make a life.
So anyhow, and there are other companies out there that will medically underwrite, but they're a lot less restrictive, but you'll pay a little more in premium also. But there are several companies out there. I write a lot of life insurance, and I get a lot of turn downs and declines, and that's when I go out to these other companies and I fish for one that's best for the situation.
Well, I'll tell you what, since you were good enough to call, would you like me to put together with you two guys together?
Sure.
And you can, okay.
There are several companies I deal with. He can do this through the mail.
Very well. Well, I want you both of you to hold on.
Okay.
And Danny, if you will, I think what I'd like to do is have your insurance agent give the number to you, and then you pass that on to Ashtabula, and the guy in Ohio can call the insurance agent. Fair enough? Sounds complicated, but I think it'll work. Holy smokes almighty. Oh, let me see. Where can we go? We only have a couple of minutes left. I don't know if we really want to take another phone call. I should tell you about who's working around these candy store these days. First of all, Jim Harmon. I haven't worked with Jim for quite a while. Jim is our engineer of the evening. Scott Slomaker is in master control. Randy Meyer is operations manager. The redoubtable Dan Rudd is our producer. Oftentimes, people call after they have been on the air. They want to get a copy of the program. Not to worry. We can work it out for you. I don't mention this as often as I should, I suppose. But if you'd like a copy of this or any presentation, don't call us. Check with Lion Recording. Lion Recording, their post office box is 962, Washington, D.C., 20044. The cost is $6.95, check or money order. It's important that you tell them not only the time, the date that you heard the program, the time. And that gets a little confusing, and maybe you have time now to explain that. You see, oftentimes your radio station will delay broadcast our program. We do the shows live from 7 to 10 Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. Because of difference in time zones and whatever, we may be well in bed by the time you hear the program. Or alternatively, even if you're in the Eastern Time Zone, your station may repeat the program after midnight. So if you heard your program, you'd want to tell them where you heard it, and at what time you heard it, and the date. That way, you'll get the program that you want for $6.95. Some of our people have been very, very generous. They say, well, we can't get your station anymore, or for some reason you're preempted for sports, and they keep ordering the programs. Not to miss them. I'm very complimented when that sort of thing happens. I am indeed. This is an ongoing thing we have here. We are the longest running national talk show in the country. I'm kind of pleased about that. We haven't gotten trendy. We don't spit in your face and call you stupid and insult people. But I kind of think that this kind of radio still has a place. I hope you would agree with me. Thank you very, very much for the hour, my friends. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Norfolk, VA. Hello there.
Hey, Bruce. I wish you well tonight.
Well, thank you, sir.
I'm dealing with a crook, too. I took my car to a national chain transmission shop in nearby Virginia Beach, and I left a note on the car because I left it there before opening, and I advised them to diagnose the problem because the transmission was slipping and leaking.
Had you contacted them before and they asked you to drop it off? Was that the deal? No, you just...
I dropped it off because a friend recommended them to me.
I see.
And I had to leave it before they opened.
But they didn't know you were coming, in other words.
Right.
Okay.
The note indicated that if it was anything other than leaking seals, they were to advise me. But if it was leaking seals, they could just go ahead and repair that because that's a minor thing. So they called me that same day, and they said it'd be a couple days before they could get to it. They were so busy. So they called me 2 days later and said they had test-driven it and put it up on the rack and looked at it superficially. And they told me it was leaking like I knew, and that it was slipping like I knew, and that for them to do anything further, they'd have to pull the transmission and go from there. And I said, well, how much would that be if you had to do the transmission? He said $500 to $600, but the diagnostic charge would be subtracted from that. I didn't know there was going to be a diagnostic charge. He's saying $185 just for them to look at it, for the work they've already done on it, which is just a superficial look and a test drive.
Yeah, but the problem is you walked in there with you leaving with your chin.
Yeah.
You left it without discussing with anybody.
Right. Although I didn't sign anything.
Without regard to that, you left it for them to check.
Yeah.
Without, I think you stuck your neck out a long way doing that. Would you not agree?
Without knowing the diagnostic charge, yes.
Indeed.
Yes, sir. But, okay, now this is an exorbitant charge, I feel like, and I'm going to take it to the BBB. But first I have to complain to them, to the transmission shop about it.
Now, where we stand now, they didn't do any work?
They did the diagnostic work.
That's it. You told them stop right there, nothing else.
Right.
Okay.
Now I got to go pick it up. I got to bail it out. And I thought maybe you could advise me how to say to them, well, this is too damn much.
Well, just the way you said it. But you dropping it off without ever consulting with them, you really stuck your neck out. You said, go ahead and do it.
Yeah. At any cost. No man, I mean, it's just not justified, the amount of work they've put into it, the $185.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah.
It's an enterprise that is fraught with ripoffs.
Yeah, sure is.
I had my transmission rebuilt.
Mm-hmm.
My car got towed away by the police, and they blew the tranny on me. It was so nice of them, for a parking violation. And it was one of the national chains. And I knew the guy that ran the place. I took it back about a month later, and the fellow that I was dealing with wasn't there. And I said to the guy, "Would you take a look at this thing? It's I'm feeling a little bit of a problem." And boy, about it, I went back an hour later. "Oh, well, you got the Framus valve. It's going to be $1,300." And I said, "Well, go for it." And I said, "You guys just rebuilt it a month ago." "Woo, did things change? Well, let me check again." He was giving me this business of there's metal shavings in the pan and so on and so forth.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to have metal shavings in any pan.
Did you have a recourse against the police department or the towing company?
No. No, it was a police tower. It was the police department themselves had their own tower. And
no recourse, huh?
Well, if there was any, I certainly didn't find any.
Well, let all your listeners know. Be sure and get a estimate, even on a diagnosis, before you do any work.
The transmission area, that whole area. Now, I don't mean, and this is not an indictment of all transmission shops, clearly, but it's one where there have been a lot of abuses.
Yeah.
And the average person, or even not so average person, wouldn't have a clue as to what's going on inside that transmission.
Yeah.
But I had to laugh. This guy's talking about the metal shavings in the oil and so on. This is very serious, whatever. I said, "Boy, I'm sure glad that it isn't going to cost me anything." He looked at me and said, "Well, you guys just did this a month ago." Oh! 15 minutes later, I had an adjustment and on my way.
Changed his tune for him. All right, Bruce.
Good luck, my friend.
Thanks very much.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more. This is Talknet. West Hartford, Connecticut. Hello there.
Hi. We had a problem with a contractor that worked at our house.
What kind of a problem?
Well, it's not a big problem. It's a very small thing, actually. We had bought a house, and when we bought the house, the seller had the driveway repaved for us, which was a good thing. The whole driveway was completely repaved. Anyway, we redid our kitchen and kind of remodeled our kitchen, and we added on a family room off the kitchen. And the contractor really did a fine job, and we paid them incrementally along the way. By the end of the job, we owed them about $2,500. And the whole time they were doing the work, they had this big dumpster set on our new driveway. And it was there for the whole duration of their work, which was about a month. Anyway, when they moved the dumpster away, I noticed there was like 4 indentations where the dumpster sat in our new driveway. And there's just little tiny cracks around the indentations. I wasn't really happy with that because I just felt that I didn't have that to begin with, and why should I be left with that at the end? And anyway, so I haven't paid the contractor the money, asking them to fix the driveway, just have it, whatever they would do to it, seal it, repave it, whatever.
Well, what kind of a driveway? Is this macadam, or is this Portland cement, or what?
It's just like the road asphalt, I guess.
Black.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's an asphaltic cement, probably.
Uh-huh.
And you're saying that the dumpster just made impressions in the driveway.
Right.
I don't know how he's going to fix that, to tell you the truth.
Why couldn't you just put like some sealer in there? Just make it so it was just the same way it used to be.
Well, I don't think he can do that very easily.
I don't think he can either, because if he could have, I think he would have done it.
You'd have to cut it out and put a patch in. That's never going to be quite the way it was before.
So,
how big an impression do you have there?
I mean, it's not a big deal, but I would say maybe 1/4 of an inch at the most. It goes down.
You'd probably be better off to leave that.
Okay, because I was just thinking it has like a little bit of cracks around it. I didn't want something to, like, the ice this winter, and it's just to get larger and larger and larger. Since we had a brand new driveway, now I'm going to be.
Well, what I'm saying to you is I don't propose I'm an expert on macadam, and you're right. Water is the enemy of macadam. In a place like you live where it freezes.
Yeah.
However, the only way that I know you could patch that would be to cut out a chunk and put some new stuff in.
Yeah, he's irate. He just thinks says I'm being anal and doesn't want to do anything about it.
Well, the point is, I don't know that I would want it cut out.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
I think that over the long pull, you'd have more trouble than just the little depression. I don't think that's a big deal.
Yeah. So you would just let it go.
Well, I'd be inclined to seal it. If it's cracked, I want it sealed, but that's nothing.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I want them to cut out a big patch and put it in.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know. I thought maybe they would just seal, go over the whole driveway and just make it level. But it would be very.
Well, you could do that. But that's going to be no, not you. They could do that, but now you're talking some pretty serious money. You have to put a couple of inches on, or an inch on anyway, overlay.
Yeah, so they feel like, they've given me a good deal on it, and that I should just pay it.
Well, I go back to him and say no. No, look, did he put the driveway in?
No, he didn't put the driveway in at all. We had that done when we originally bought the house.
And how long ago was that?
It was only 6 months ago.
Okay, and he parked the dumpster on the driveway for how long?
Yeah, like for a month.
You see, that the dumpster he should have put on boards.
He said he did, and I said that to him. He goes, "Oh, it was on boards." But who knows?
Well, you'd know because you could tell very easily from the impressions of the driveway.
It doesn't seem to me that it was on boards then.
No. I don't think you have the problem was on boards either.
I don't either. But he was insisting. He says I'm being really anal about it, and that I should just pay him his money.
Well, you tell him. Unfortunately, that's the way I'm going to be.
What am I waiting for then? I mean, just to have him, because you're saying that he can't really fix it.
Well, I'd go back to him and say, look, I want you to re-roll the driveway. I want to put an overlay on it.
Yeah.
Now, he's not going to want to do that. He might get, then you negotiate a few bucks out of him. Because that was very foolish when you're dealing with asphalt in the summertime, and particularly new stuff. You don't drop a heavy old dumpster on there. You put it on something to spread the load.
Yeah. See,
and if you did have the wood there, you'd have the impression from the wood, not from the dumpster.
Exactly, and we don't have that. Yeah, right. I can even see there's a little bit of rust around it.
Right. No, he didn't do it properly. I told him.
I said I don't see why I should accept that. I said as a consumer, I said I didn't have. I should be made whole. I didn't have that driveway to begin with, and I want the same new driveway I had when they started the work. And he's like, oh, you're really being a ball buster and all this other stuff. And I didn't know if I was taking it too far. I agree with you. That was my gut reaction, was try to negotiate something for it, because it's something less than I had to begin with.
There you go. And you tell him, if push comes to shove, I'm going to withhold $1,000 from your payments until we settle this.
Yeah.
That'll get his attention.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, don't ever ask me to do any work for you again and all this.
Well, that's nice. Tell him you would never let him work for you anyway. I do wish you well, dear.
Okay, thank you very much.
Take good care.
Bye-bye.
Des Moines, Iowa. Hello there.
Yes, sir.
Hi.
Hi. I need some advice, if you don't mind. I'm an uninsured motorist who was involved in an accident with a motorist who was covered.
You were the uninsured motorist?
Yes, sir, I was.
All right.
I began following in a line of about 8 or 10 cars back, following this truck pushing a car that was malfunctioning, wouldn't go. They kept pulling over to the side of the road, allowing traffic to pass as oncoming traffic allowed, okay? When it became my turn to pass, I had passed the truck. I was halfway past the front car, and they began to move at that point and pulled over into my car. The police weren't called. They didn't want to call the police for some reason. And the insurance company sent me a bill for $1,800.
Their insurance company?
Yes, sir. So I wrote them back and sent them my estimate and said, no, it's not my fault. There's no way it could have been. In the meantime, the DOT sent me a letter saying my license was to be revoked within 20 days if I didn't post a security bond.
Yep.
Or prove a reasonable possibility that no judgment could be rendered against me.
Right.
All right, so the first hearing I had, I tried to prove my case. They said, no, your license will be revoked, but you can still appeal.
Mm-hmm.
I appealed a second time, and the same decision came.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I was right, though, and I couldn't understand why these people couldn't see what I was saying. So I went to the Supreme Court, and he did overrule the previous two, and I got to keep my license.
Mm-hmm.
I called the insurance company and told them what the DOT had done, and I expected them to make payment on my car. They again said, no, we're going to believe our client's story.
Well, what did the client say?
The client says that he was starting to turn, and I just plowed and T-boned right into him. The pictures that I've taken clearly prove that he just pulled into my passenger side fender. There's not even a damage in the front of my car.
Mm-hmm.
I have a witness stating that the car and truck had been pulled over, and he had passed him, but he didn't see the accident, so I don't have any really substantial witness to say what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what recourse to take, or if I should.
Well, you have to. If you want to recover from him, you got to sue him.
Him personally. I don't go to the insurance company.
No, the insurance company has nothing to do with you. You have to sue him.
Okay.
They have to defend him. Let me ask you this: what are you doing running around insurance?
Well, it's not a wise thing, I know.
No, really irresponsible, I guess, but the best term I could think of.
Yeah, I understand that. I know it is.
So what do you do? Do you have insurance now?
I'm in the process of getting insurance.
Because that you could screw up your whole life and somebody else's life.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I realize that. I know.
But it sounds like you were persistent enough to get done what you got done. I salute you for that.
Well,
but your next move is to move. You have to start an action against him. How much damage was there to your car?
There was $1,000 to my car and $1,800 to theirs.
Well, his has nothing to do with anything right now. You're going to bring an action against him in small claims court for $1,000.
Okay.
Hopefully you'll prevail.
Very good. I appreciate the information.
Okay, guy.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All righty. Wait, Jenny. Pardon me? Oh, my goodness gracious. Where are we going from here? I'm a little bit complicated here. I suppose I had to tell about the good people that are working for us tonight. Jimmy Harmon is twisting all the dials up there in Arlington, Virginia. Scott Sloanaker is our resident no, he's not operations manager. He is our master control operator. Randy Meyer is our operations manager, and with Mr. Dan Rudd, our executive type producer of the evening. If you'd like to give us a call, the number is 800-743-8000. 800-743-8000. Daniel, what do you got? Omaha, Nebraska. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. This is Steve in Omaha.
Yes, Steve.
I've got a feeling I know the answer already, but I just thought I would double check with you.
Go ahead.
6 years ago, my oldest son was about 22, and I co-signed with him on a Visa card, $500 max. Well, since then he's been married, he's got a kid. He has filed bankruptcy this past August, September, someplace right in there. Now they have come to me. His Visa card holder has come to me and asked me to make restitution. They said the bill was like $678, but they would be willing to drop it back down to $500 since that was the limit. And I was just wondering if, even though I co-signed, he was supposed to make.
I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I'm chatting with a gentleman in Omaha, Nebraska. He co-signed some years ago for his son for a Visa card, and the kid has now gone bankrupt. They're coming back to him for the $500 that he had co-signed for. And you said you knew the answer, and I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I probably have an obligation to pay it.
Well, yeah. Without any question, you're on the hook for the $500.
Yeah,
not for more.
Yeah, he was supposed to pay that and his car payment, which I also co-signed for, and that apparently is still. Well, he doesn't owe that much on his car yet anyway either, but, being a nice dad. But I thought even though he filed bankruptcy, then I am still on the hook.
Yeah, he filed bankruptcy, so he's out from under.
Yeah.
But you're not. That's what it comes down to. That's why they loaned the money to him, because of you, not because of him.
Yeah.
It looks like they were smart. You're good, but he wasn't.
All right.
Stuck with that one. Take good care, guy.
Thanks, Bruce.
Lexington, Kentucky. What's on your mind?
I'm getting ready to build a house, and I've got a builder that's going to build a house for me on my lot. And I wonder if I should be making sure I get some sort of a warranty from him on his contract agreement and something. A little bit. How about a mechanic's lien?
Well, that's what you have to deal with. You say, if you pay him as in a certain amount of draws, it's usually it's set up in advance. You get so far, you get so much money, right?
Right.
But if he orders material delivered to that job, and the material goes into the job, and you pay him in good faith, and he doesn't pay the vendor, unless you protect yourself, you got to pay the vendor. Pay twice, in other words.
Is there any way I can protect myself?
Well, there's a whole bunch of things. Have you done this before?
No.
You see, I'm not comfortable for the most part with people like yourself having homes built the way you're doing it. I would be far more comfortable if you said to the builder, okay, here's the lot. What's your lot worth?
$15,000.
All right, I'm going to sell it to you for $15,000. And he gives you the $15,000. Then he builds a house on the lot that he now owns. And you have a contract to buy that house when it's completed.
And if I can't get somebody to do that?
A lot of guys will do it.
They will?
There's no danger to them. They have a contract from you. You can put the $15,000 you got for the lot back in an escrow account with your attorney to guarantee the money's not going to be spent someplace else. But then that way, he provides you with a clear title.
So that's the only way.
No, it's not the only. No, not the only way. To my mind, it's the easier way. Easier way to get it done. No, you have to insist that every single piece of material, every outside contractor, you should be aware of these people, and you want a paid receipt, not just 4 square of roofing material, 4 square roofing material to 123 Main Street, because he could show you a paid receipt from someplace else.
I see.
You want a paid receipt from each vendor, each subcontractor. You want to see that in your hand.
Before he gets
he gets his money. That's exactly right.
As per draw goes out.
That's right.
And how about a warranty?
I would hope that you're having an attorney handle this transaction for you.
I am going to.
No, I hope so. Before you sign any contracts.
Before I sign a contract with him, I should have his contract looked at by an attorney.
Absolutely. Without question.
Okay, then what sort of warranty should I ask of a builder?
Well, that gets a little more difficult. In some states, a warranty is required. In others, it's optional. Whatever you can negotiate, I guess, is the answer for that.
Really? And would I expect any attorney to be able to handle this for me, or a real estate attorney?
Well, I don't know about any attorney, but this is not a very complex proposition. You don't have to have it's not required that you find a specialist, if that's what you mean.
Okay.
I mean, some gals would shy away and say, this is not my area. But it's not a complicated piece of law, but it's one that you want to protect yourself, and you find yourself coming up very, very short.
So I would take the agreement he's given me, take it to an attorney.
No, what I would do is, you can do that, but just go talk to an attorney and say, this is what I'm doing. This is what I want to accomplish. I want to be protected in the following areas. Let him set it up that way.
Okay. Good enough.
I do wish you well, Guy. Rockford, Illinois. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
How are you?
I am just fine, thank you.
Well, good. I'm a long-time listener. As many people say, I travel in my truck to and from work and out on service calls, and I listen to you all the time. You're a great company.
Well, thank you, sir.
I think many of the things that I hear you say is, I think our society is coming to the realization that we need to be responsible for ourselves.
Oh, my goodness. What a shock that would be.
Yeah, right. And I think that kind of advice, I always smile when you get to that point when people always want to blame somebody else for their problems. A comment I wanted to make tonight was with regards to a fellow about half an hour ago called about a transmission problem.
Yeah.
That he had, and I only caught got in my truck.
Well, let me recap it. What he said was he dropped his car off without telling the transmission people he was coming, because a friend recommended them, and said, look it over, change the seals. If necessary, don't go any further. And they called and they said, okay, it's a $185 analysis charge for looking it over.
Yeah. Yeah, and I kind of sensed it was a national chain of some type.
Yeah, he indicated that.
Yeah, I think we hear so many stories and see stories on 20 Minutes and prime time and a lot of different shows about. They're just many mass merchandisers that I think their whole approach to things is a little different. I happen to be a retired school, or I shouldn't say retired, but an ex-school teacher who operates a shop with about 11 employees, and we're a general repair facility. And our experience has been with people is that you need to communicate, and I think that's what you told this gentleman. You shouldn't drop off and do that kind of thing.
Well, absolutely not. He made a major mistake by just writing a blank check.
Yeah, and really, the garage person is in trouble too, because they're not really sure. We're always cautious with people and say, well, really, what do you want us to do here? I want to communicate. We spend a lot of time on the phone. We got 6 lines that just run constantly because we're constantly talking to people, make sure we keep them abreast of what we suggest and where we are, so we don't do something they don't want to do.
Sure.
But I was just going to say, I think to people, I listened to you, and you had such good advice, and I often wanted to say, people, if they would build a relationship with somebody they knew, because I've got customers of my own that, they're traveling. I've had customers who've got sons and daughters in Santa Barbara, California, and out in New York, and they have a problem, and they don't know what to do with it, and I'm able to, through an association, call up and find somebody who I say, hey, I'm a fellow garage member of the, I don't know if I could mention.
No, I'd rather you did.
Okay, Association of Garage Owners, which is the largest one in the country, and said, I've got a customer of mine in your area that's got a problem. Are you capable of doing this kind of work? I'd like, his name is such and such. He's going to call you. If you'll do it, fine. If you got any questions, I want you to call me. because I'd like to act as an intermediary to help this fella, make sure that they get done what they want done.
Right.
And it just builds a wonderful relationship for your customers as well as helps people out. I think that kind of thing is so important for people to develop that. If you just run to somebody different every time to have different kind of repair done and you don't know who you're dealing with, that lack of communication really causes people some heartache that's really not necessary.
It's not only lack of communication. When people constantly shop for the very last nickel, they'll spread their business all over the lot. They're nothing to nobody. Where if they give all their business to one firm or one individual, then they're an important customer.
Exactly, and the last thing you want to do is do something to hinder that relationship.
Absolutely.
And so you do everything you can to cultivate it, and to the point where sometimes the people come to you say, well, I really don't do that kind of work, and our customers say, well, gee, do you have somebody you recommend? And I'll pick the phone up and call so-and-so who does it and said, hey, here again, I have a customer of mine, and that fellow I may do work with quite frequently or referral. He's going to make sure that my customer gets treated right.
Of course, because he wants your referrals, and he won't get them unless he does it right this time.
And the average person, how many times in a lifetime do you have a transmission problem? Once every 10 years?
I don't know. I hope not any more than that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think sometimes people say, well, I'm not going to deal with this particular transmission shop or an engine shop or somebody again, probably, because I probably won't have a problem for 10 years,
Right.
Whereas if you work through one person and then let him help you, people he deals with, I think you'll have a lot better success, and people have, I think, better repair and feel better about they got their money's worth.
Indeed. I do wish you well, my friend. Thanks very much for joining us.
Have a good evening.
Okay, Guy. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. We go now to San Antonio, Texas. Hello there.
Hi, good evening, Bruce.
Hi.
I own a delivery service, 2 cities, Austin and San Antonio. We've been in business since February of '88. Actually, I'm a corporation, but I own all the stock.
Mm-hmm.
We're still having some growing pains, and the second location has been open 3 years, and I also own part of a business in Houston. And I'm stretched too thin.
Huh. Well, it doesn't. I'm not surprised.
Well,
are these separate companies? Is there a relationship between the delivery service in San Antonio and Austin? That's quite a distance between the two.
There is a relationship. There is. I use the technology, the computer technology I have used for years in the delivery business, but it's for a more of a clerical type service in Houston. It's related, but I don't have the liability problems I have with delivery, is why I opened it. Problem is, it's been 7 years, I'm having problems finding people to run them that believe the same things I do. I just can't do it all myself, and I just wanted to get your opinion on getting rid of one of them.
Well, which one is making the most money? Where do you live?
I live in Austin.
All right. Now, given your druthers, would you rather not keep the Austin operation and sell one of the others?
No, Austin's been there forever, and it's the largest. We went over $1 million last year.
Well, then you live it. Is that the one you'd like to hang on to?
Yeah. I just don't know if I'm giving up too soon on the San Antonio or...
Well, I don't know that either. But you're telling me that let's do it this way. How much do you do in terms of the San Antonio operation? What do you do personally?
I personally have to come down and straighten it out once a week.
Well, only once a week?
Yeah, I'm down here 1 to 2 days a week. Austin, 1 to 2 days a week, and the same with Houston. So...
Well, I'm trying to get...
I'm working 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, and it's enough.
Well, I can deal with that.
Yeah.
I can understand that. But I'm just wondering, what are your goals? I mean, you obviously started out with the idea you wanted to grow.
And I do. I still do, and I did. But quite honestly, I don't know if I have it in me to stick with it.
All right, well, let's take the San Antonio thing as a standalone. What's it worth right now?
Very little. It wouldn't really have a market value. It's only doing $150,000 a year, probably.
Is it making any money at all?
It pays for itself. It doesn't show a profit yet.
What do you have invested there?
A lot of capital equipment, but that's easily transferable to future growth for Austin or for Houston.
All right, now let's talk about Houston. What are you doing over there?
Houston's brand new. It's what I really want to spend my time doing because it's a different venture that and the new things interest me. I mean,
Well, in that case, why don't you get rid of just close up San Antonio if you have to? You say it's not making any money, it's not saleable, but the assets can be readily moved to the new enterprise.
sure.
Well, why don't you just do that?
I don't know. I just feel like I'm giving up, but I think I just wanted your opinion. 3 years, I think, is enough.
Well, I can't tell you what the appropriate time is, but I mean, if you follow your financial journals at all, you see that some of the big companies, big guys,
Yeah.
have gotten on the right track by getting rid of a lot of assets that weren't performing appropriately and devoting their energies to those assets that are performing. I mean, one of the big store chains has sold off over 100 stores, closed them up.
Yeah.
If they weren't making enough money, get rid of them. That's a tough decision to make. And it's no less difficult for you to decide to close one unit as for that CEO to close 100. But, you know, the old song, we got to know when to hold and when to fold.
I heard that.
Now, there's maybe one other alternative here. You might try to seek out a partner. Somebody's willing to work their buns off and hasn't got any money. And make them a partner in the San Antonio thing.
Well, I have a couple of new employees that are very, very dedicated. I just, quite honestly, myself don't know how to set somebody up as a stock owner or as a partner.
As a partner, you give them half the company. Or you put them in a position, if the company does so much, you get so much stock until you have half or whatever.
Oh, that's a thought. I may do that. That's a good idea.
And if you don't bring the money in, the money's not coming in from outside to pay your bills. We'll tell you right now. There's going to be no subsidies coming from me.
There you go. Well, listen, I appreciate it.
Put your efforts into it gives you some pleasure and where you see the growth. It looks like that's Houston from what you tell me.
Oh, yeah, it excites me. It's just brand new.
What are you doing over this? Tell me in 13 seconds. What are you doing over there that excites you?
It's something new. It's different. It's a new concept. It's
What kind of business?
It's a dispatch service for delivery services. I already have the hardware, the software. Our market is smaller companies that don't have the $50,000 to go out and buy the software and hardware.
Well, good luck with it, dear.
Thank you.
I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Hello there, Indianapolis. Welcome to my world.
Good evening, Bruce. I do respect your opinion, and I hope that I can trust your guidance.
Well, let's try.
I'm in the position of finding another venture, put the feelers out in some respects, and sort of got captured by a headhunter company that they are trying to hire for another organization. I do have a situation set up where that I have an appointment coming up with them in the next week, and I'm just trying to do the right thing.
Well, wait a minute. Are they trying to hire you, or do you want to go to work for them?
No, they're trying to hire me for another company.
Oh, they're trying to. Okay, they're doing. You are the head that's being hunted.
That's correct.
Okay. What kind of a? Well, tell me why. Why I'm looking at you, and what's the story?
Well, I'm not sure. In some respects, when we had the conversation, in the industry that I'm in, which is security-related products, in sales, we started discussing things, and the gal seemed highly impressed with the volume of sales that had come up over the last year. And said that she had an organization about 100 miles in a direction of mine that might be worthwhile to pursue.
Go ahead.
And we went on to discuss things in itself. Discussed the qualifications that I had. She, in some respects, discussed what the basis of salary and benefits could be, and would not divulge the company until we went through an interview with that organization.
All right.
Again, not getting burned before. I'm just trying to again pursue this in the proper standard.
Well, how did you get burned before?
The company that I'd worked for before, basically, in the commission structure, didn't really keep it on an up and up.
Well, there's always that possibility. I mean, were you on a commission basis under a contract or a handshake or?
Well, again, that's what I've heard is something. I've heard people say that you want to make sure that you get a contract, and I've never had to do that, but I feel maybe it's time to start really heavily pursuing that.
Well, you say you never had to. I don't think you ever have to. Having things reduced to writing eliminates.
That's the only way I know how.
Well, no, you're doing fine. I'm just wondering sooner or later, if it's liable to pop up in an audit of you, would lead back to him.
That would be his problem, wouldn't it?
Oh, sure would.
Well, that wouldn't trouble me terribly.
Well, then, if you could probably back into it and make yourself get audited.
How?
You probably, I think if you asked and explained the circumstance to the IRS agent, I think they'd probably audit you, and you'd be clean as a whisker. But they'd be looking to him.
But then I might lose the job, right?
Very possibly.
Yeah. Okay. It's really a very strange situation.
Well, are you being well paid?
Yes.
In that case, you're just paid a little less than you think you're being paid, that's all. About 7.5% less.
I'm being well paid. But it's just every time I do the taxes, it really upsets me.
I can understand that. You also are not covered by workers' compensation.
Yes, I am.
How can you be uncovered by workers' comp?
He just carries it because before he got me, he did have someone reported.
You're not covered.
I'm not?
No, ma'am, because workers' compensation is computed on payroll.
Oh, he has another employee, and she may be withheld from.
Yeah, but you wouldn't show up.
Okay.
On the payroll.
And you're right, I may trip over the sacks.
Well, I hope not. I do wish you well, dear.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm here to announce that that potential birthday present or Christmas present for me is still being advertised. Told you for the guy who has everything that I'm looking through Hemmings, and they still have this 1938 Mercedes 540K convertible for a mere $1,750,000. So hey, jump on it before it's snapped up. And of course, gee, if I found that on my Christmas tree, I couldn't get. Wow. Hey, we're going to you got Burlington, Vermont. Can you imagine $1,750,000 for wheels? Burlington, are you there?
Yes. Hey,
Let's
Bruce,
wake
how
up.
are you?
Okay. I asked you a question.
That Hemmings is just down in Bennington.
Yeah, can you imagine, though, $1,750,000 for wheels?
No, not at all. Hopefully someday.
Ah, yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
It would. Hey, my wife and I are first-time home buyers, and we've had a preliminary meeting with the realtor, and she has discussed this buyer-broker option with us, and just wanted to get your input and
It's an idea whose time has long since come. The idea that the broker represents you, not the seller.
Uh-huh.
Well, what do you say? It's a great idea.
It is, okay.
Well, heretofore, and rightly so, the broker represented the seller. Hey, my broker said, you don't have a broker. The broker's fiduciary responsibility was to the seller.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a buyer broker is to you.
Right. Now, the only potential problem I see with that is if we're seeing properties that are listed with that agent.
They don't list. Buyer brokers do not list property.
In this state, they do.
They list them?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Well, they're obviously the listing is with the agent.
Well, that's a difference, son. If you list the property and it's sold, you get a commission on the listing.
Right.
Buyers brokers do not take listings. They go to listings that are listed by someone else. Do you understand the difference?
Oh, sure, but
then they don't take a buyer's broker, to my knowledge, does not accept the listing.
Okay, but in Vermont, the same realtor who can go and list my house can also represent another party as a broker, as a buyer's broker.
That is okay. But if that's the case, I'll take the correction. It's not ordinary.
Huh.
Ordinarily, a buyer's broker does not accept listings.
Okay. Yeah, it seemed kind of odd to me if she was going to be showing us a property that was listed by her agency.
Right. Then how could she be a buyer's broker?
Well, it would be a clear conflict.
Well, I don't think she's a buyer's broker then.
Because we have to sign a buyer's broker contract with her.
Well, okay. A buyer's broker, to my understanding, does not accept listings. For the obvious reason, and you pointed out there is a conflict.
Yeah. So in that case, I mean that is the case. I mean she's a real estate agent for a regular agency, and she can represent us as a buyer's broker.
Well, if she can, I wouldn't accept that.
Okay, that was my question.
I want a buyer's broker who does nothing but represent buyers.
Okay.
And that's the idea of a buyer's broker.
Yeah, that's what I mean. All the listings that we've seen have, sub-agent of the seller or buyer broker, they get the same amount of money.
Yes, but there's a different relationship.
Yeah, and that's where I was a little bit confused in terms of where those allegiances would be.
The allegiance is strictly to you.
As a buyer's broker.
As a buyer's broker, but I don't understand how this lady can take listings or her company can take listings.
Yeah, it you know, it seems like every agency in Vermont at least has the ability to do that.
Well, maybe so. Maybe so. Are they part of any of the franchised buyers, brokers, agent networks?
Not to my knowledge.
I don't think so because
they're multi-list and
No. You're not listening to me. What I'm saying is, if they're part of one of there is a company called Buyers Broker based in Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
They franchise people to do to be a buyer's broker.
Right.
I'm quite confident they do not allow you to be a listing agent. And be franchised by them.
Okay.
Good luck, my friend.
Thanks very much.
Madeira Beach, Florida. Hello there.
Hi.
Hello. Don't be so enthusiastic. Hi.
Well, hi, Judith. Hey, I listen to you every night.
Well, I am delighted. I was at Madeira Beach a couple of nights ago.
I got a problem.
Yes.
You're going to tell me mother-in-laws?
I'm going to what?
You're going to tell me mother-in-laws should butt out?
Well, butt out, mother-in-law. What's up?
I have a son-in-law who has been digging into retirement funds.
Whose retirement funds?
His.
He's been digging into them?
He's been taking money out.
He's been withdrawing money from his retirement funds. Why?
Well, buy new carpet for the house.
That's his privilege. It's foolish, but it's his privilege.
I know, but my God, my daughter doesn't know this.
Well, how do you know?
Well, he lives down the street from me.
Yeah.
And I walk in the house, and it's laying on the table, and I'm going to read it. And I read it.
What was laying on the table?
His retirement papers.
Well, where does your daughter think the money is coming from to buy these new things?
He says it's coming from his savings.
Well, it is.
Yes, but that's his retirement savings.
It is nonetheless. He's not being untruthful.
Yes, but he isn't telling her the whole truth, that it's for his retirement. When he gets to be 65 years old and she don't have a pot to pee in.
Without regard to that. I mean, your daughter has to be smart enough. Really, when you come right down to it, because there are some tax implications, but savings are savings, and whether he takes one savings account or another, it diminishes the amount of money they'll have when they retire.
No, he's only taking 1% out of his pay to put into that savings.
Without regard to that, savings is savings, or savings are savings, and if you dissipate them for something else, they will not be there later on. If your daughter isn't smart enough to figure that out,
if he has $1,500 in his retirement, he's only been with him three years.
Yeah.
If he has $1,500 in retirement, takes out $500 to buy a new carpet, he's got $1,000 left.
Well, why are we buying new carpet?
Because they needed it.
Well, if they needed it, did they?
No. My question is,
yeah.
How can I be subtle when I have 5 daughters?
I'd butt out.
I know that's what you'd say.
Well, because your daughter is kind of foolish.
I know that's what you'd say. But
well, let her be foolish.
But my God, when she's my age,
that's her problem. Your daughter is foolish. Your daughter should know what they can afford and what they can't afford. Now, it would appear they cannot afford new carpet. Whether they need it or not is not the issue.
That's right. But how can I put my foot in there?
You shouldn't. Let them be. If they're going to be stupid, that's their privilege. They're married. They're theoretical adults.
I know. Hey, we're the ones that give money for the house to buy a house. You said don't do that.
Well,
see, I should have kicked myself then.
You gave them money?
Yes.
Or you loaned them money?
No, we gave them money.
How much did you give them?
$5,000.
Why did you do that?
Because I wanted her to have a home.
How old is your daughter?
29.
How old are you?
68.
When you were 29, who was giving you money for a house?
Right.
Who?
Nobody.
Wonder why.
Well,
you had to stand on your own hind legs.
That's true.
Now, I don't have any it's a different world, though. Let's be realistic.
That's
the world
true.
Now, to hear me out, it's a different world than it was easier to buy a house when you were 29 than when she is 29. for a lot of reasons. Interest rates were considerably lower. There's a lot of good reasons why it was easier. Property values had not escalated. So I don't have any problem if you have the ability to help your children out. But in my opinion, it should be a loan, not a gift. And that loan should be secured by a mortgage. In the event that your daughter and her husband split,
right,
he splits with half of your money.
Uh-huh.
Maybe a little late for that now.
No, I don't think it's going to happen, but it's just the idea. I was trying to be... I haven't said anything.
Good.
It's hard to keep my mouth shut.
Well, I can tell by that. Listen to you
It's really hard to keep my mouth shut.
Look, savings are savings. What difference does it make if they come out of regular savings or retirement savings? It's still that they're buying things they can't afford.
I know.
And if your daughter isn't smart enough to figure that out, too bad for her. She will sooner or later.
Well, I do appreciate it.
Good talking to you, honey.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Where are we going in Oregon? The Dells, Oregon. I don't know where that is. Hello.
Hi, Bruce. Thanks so much for taking my call.
You're very welcome, baby. What's on your mind?
Bruce, I have a car story.
A car story?
A car story.
Well, you can start. Are you by any chance from Scotland?
Yes, I am.
How did I ever? Glaswegian?
Not far from Glasgow.
Where?
A place called Dunoon.
I would say Dunedin, right?
No, Dunoon.
Dunoon.
It's right on the Firth of Clyde where the big shipbuilding yards used to be.
Up near Lead Hills, up in that area?
Near where?
No, that doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, Bruce, car story. 2 cars sitting on the car lot. One 60,000 miles, the other 80,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Both the same price, same color, same interior.
Mm-hmm.
I plumped for the $60,000 mile one. 60,000 mile one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right from the first month, the car ran beautifully. Then after that, it's just been in and out the garage, about every 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Cost me a fortune. Some of the stuff, I mean, we're not talking $20, $30 problems. We're talking hundreds of dollars.
How old was this car?
It's a 1988. And they're supposed to be one of the... Really, it is really a super comfortable car. But the problems, I mean, I've practically rebuilt the engine.
Well, did you have the car inspected before you purchased it? When we get back?
I did not.
Well, that's the problem. When we get back, we'll talk about it, however briefly. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Before we go back to Liddell's, Oregon, I'd like to remind you that this evening from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., our friend Dan and I will be here taking your calls off the air for broadcast at a future date. And I would hope that you give us a shout. The number, of course, 800-743-8000. Oh, like in the Dells, Oregon. Bought herself a 1988, I think it was. 1988 car?
Yes,
Was it a luxury car?
Yes.
Lincoln, Cadillac, what?
No, nothing like that. Do you want me to tell the name?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a Ford Taurus.
Okay, and you've had nothing but trouble. That's
It's
what
been
you're telling
nothing
me.
but trouble.
Well, but you didn't have the car inspected by anybody before you bought it.
I did not.
Well, and what would you anticipate the dealer should do for you now?
Well, I don't know. They have been very kind themselves. I mean, when they have been working on the car, they have given me a loaner car. You know, this goes from anywhere from 3 days to maybe a couple of weeks sometimes. And I have been in touch with Detroit.
Well, that's a little late for Detroit, isn't it?
Yeah, but I thought, you know, they need to know what has happened to this car.
You have a 6-year-old car.
It just seems like I'm working to support the car.
Well, sometimes that happens when you buy older cars.
Oh, it's not that old.
It's 7 years old.
I know, but it's. I mean, maybe I should have gone with the 80,000 mile car. Maybe I wouldn't have had the problems.
Maybe not. I mean, why did you select it? Just on the basis of the mileage?
Yes,
Why do you suppose they were asking the same amount for the 80 and the 60? Because in their opinion, they were about the same.
That's true. They were selling for the same price. And it was a toss-up, you know. I thought, well, okay, maybe I got greedy. I don't know.
Well, it's not a question of greedy, but when you're purchasing something that you know little about,
yes,
it is wise to get a professional's opinion, and that's what you should have done.
So, do you think the answer would have been to have what do they call it? A dialysis?
No, not a dialysis. They do that to your body.
Well, same thing.
Well, not quite. What you should have is a professional inspector or a good mechanic go over the car to see if they feel it's a good buy.
Right. Right.
And frequently they're going to say no, and it's going to cost you that $75 or $100 to find out no.
That's right.
But at this point, I don't think there's much you can do.
There's absolutely nothing.
Well, I mean, the dealer, it seems to me, so far, is being pretty reasonable.
The dealers have been wonderful. They really have. I can't fault them for anything there, and any problem they've been able to fix, you know.
Probably your best bet, we try to sell it.
You think just sell it outright? And
yes, ma'am. Get rid of it and start again.
Get into a wee Honda, maybe?
No, you might want to get another car just like this.
It's a wonderful car, and don't get me wrong, it's very comfortable. I mean, it just for everything you would want.
Well, yes, this particular car just might be a turkey, or it might have been abused. I mean, I'm just speculating. But if I had a car that was giving me that much trouble, I'd lick my losses and lick my wounds and take the loss.
Really?
I wish you well, dear.
I thank you very much, then, Bruce.
It's been good talking to you. Oxnard, California, your turn. Hello.
Hello, Bruce. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are things in Ventura County?
Oh, they're not too bad. Traffic's moving along, few accidents and that kind of thing.
Okay. What's on your mind?
My wife makes a nut bread, a zucchini bread, or raisin nut bread, whatever you want to call it like that, that no matter what she does to it or how she kind of things she puts into it, it comes out wonderful every time.
Okay.
And the family's been after her as well as myself on some way to market this, either open up a bakery that would, to make this kind of bread, something along that line, or, someone else.
Well, why not?
Well, my question is, what would be the best steps to go ahead and opening up your own place, or...
Well, I'm not sure you're going to make it on nut bread alone unless you did it wholesale.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you could open up a store, retail, and have enough people walk in to buy, no matter how good it is, to keep you in business. I think you'd have to go out and try to wholesale it.
Okay. Another idea we had that might go along with that would be like having espresso coffee shop with that.
Well, that's true. Espresso is getting, well, in your part of the world, it's very big. It's spreading east, but not as quickly as we might have thought. Everywhere you look, in the West Coast, particularly in the Northwest, you see an espresso shop.
Right, and that's kind of where we're looking at moving in that direction.
Well,
and
that might be the way to go.
Okay. What about marketing through somebody else? Have them come in and tell you what would be.
Well, first of all, you got to have a place to manufacture it.
Yeah.
You can't do that at home in most cases. I'm quite certain in Oxnard, California, they're not going to let you open a bakery in your house.
Right.
So you have to make a deal either with someone who already has an established bakery where you'd produce your stuff at an off time, or actually go in and start, buy your own proof boxes and refrigerators and mixers and ovens and the whole works, and start just like any other enterprise.
Okay.
It requires investment, time, and effort, and a gamble.
Would you make any recommendations on to have someone else, buy this and get like royalties or something on it?
Well, that'd be terrific if you sell it. I'd say the chances of being able to do that are about the same league as having a hot stove and a snowball last for a couple of weeks on the surface. You have nothing to sell.
Oh, okay.
Not yet.
Yeah.
You got an idea, maybe something that tastes halfway decent.
Yeah.
But that's all you got. And let me tell you, every good housewife in the world's got one of those. You got to get it on the market. You got to prove that people will buy it. You got to get a label.
Okay, where would you go for getting labels for these?
Well, when I say a label, you got to, come up with a name.
Okay.
That's a label.
Okay.
Winston is a label. Coca-Cola is a label.
Okay.
And you got to make the label. Coca-Cola, the label's worth nothing when they began. It's worth $1 zillion today.
Right.
Because you establish the label value by selling.
Okay. All right.
It ain't easy, I'll tell you. It's a good way to... You want to make a small fortune?
No, we just want to have fun with it and enjoy ourselves.
No, you didn't go for it. The way to make a small fortune for something like this is to start out with a large fortune.
Yeah.
In other words, you can lose your shirt.
Right.
If you don't know what you're doing. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Okay.
And don't make it a hobby.
Yeah.
Hobbies lose money.
Okay.
If you're going to do it right, or don't do it at all. I do wish you well, Guy. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Newton, Kansas. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I really enjoy your show.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I've got a interesting situation. I bought a business from a couple who was retiring about 7-8 years ago, and the transactions that our monthly payments have been going through a bank escrow department.
And you pay the bank, and the bank
pays
somehow
them.
gets it to them.
Yeah, they're just kind of a middleman, I guess. And,
Yeah, well, that's with a mortgage, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
The bank is the middleman for the ultimate provider of funds.
Right. Here recently, we decided we needed to do some improvements to the building, and we decided to go with another bank there just to refinance the whole amount.
Mm-hmm.
And the new bank called for a payoff amount and got the amount. My receipt had this balance on it, and the transaction took place. About 3 weeks later, the
Were you represented, by the way, for this?
as far as an attorney?
Yeah.
No. About 3 weeks after this transaction, the lady called me and said,
The lady, what?
the previous owner that I bought from.
Right.
She called and said, you guys are going to pay off. I thought you guys were pay me off from the bank. And I go, well, the transaction took place. Didn't you receive your check? And she said, yes, I did, but there was a $21,000 mistake.
Oh.
Yes,
I'm listening.
The escrow bank somewhere, somehow, made a $21,000 mistake.
But didn't you know that, truthfully, didn't the numbers seem awful? I mean, I've had mortgages over my lifetime, got a couple still floating around.
No.
And I can tell you within a couple $1,000 what I owe.
Yeah, well,
How much was the original amount, the principal amount of this thing?
The principal
originally.
The original was $126,000.
And you didn't pick up a $20,000 mistake?
I did not have a.
You wouldn't have to have it. I mean, just give me the numbers. I'd tell you were off that much.
Yeah. Well, previously this bank did not have a computerized system.
Has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. Let me see if I can come up with some numbers out of my head. All right.
Okay.
Your mortgage was for how much?
$126,000.
And for over what period of time?
10-year period.
126 over 10. All right. Let me see. At what interest rate?
10%.
Okay, so we got $12,000 a year in interest.
Mm-hmm.
Round numbers.
Yeah.
And we're going to reduce it over 10 years. 12,000. Your payment should have been something. I'm doing this real quick arithmetic, so forgive me. About $2,400 a month?
No, 16.
Well, something wrong there.
1665.11.
Well, you're all right, go ahead. It just seems to me there might have been a miscalculation there.
Well, anyway,
think about it. There's $12,000 your first year interest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're going to amortize this over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you're only going to go down $4,000 the first year.
Yeah.
And were taxes included in there?
Yeah.
Oh. All right, go ahead.
But anyway, this bank, we had made our monthly payments, and they gave you a handwritten receipt.
Yeah.
Well, this is a chain of banks.
Let me ask a fundamental question. Is there any difference of opinion as to how many payments you made? Never mind the amounts. How many payments?
No.
They're all there.
Everyone was there.
All right. It just was an arithmetical error as to how much you would reduce the mortgage by. All right, let's do it this way. What was the payoff figure? It was $120,000 was the original. For how many years?
It was $44,000.
Pardon me?
$44,000.
Wait a minute. What was the original figure you were paying?
$126,000.
126. And how many years did you pay on it?
7.
10-year payment.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead.
Anyway, the bank, we made our monthly payments. We got a handwritten receipt.
Okay. Well, where was the mistake?
About a year ago, the bank centralized all their escrow, and apparently, at that time, we didn't know it, they made a mistake on entering new numbers into the computer.
All right.
Apparently where the mistake was made.
Well, nonetheless, a very fundamental question.
Mm-hmm.
Now that it's been reconciled, are their figures accurate?
As far as the amount that's still due.
Then you got to pay her.
Yeah. Well, the bank already paid her off.
You got to pay the bank.
Okay. That's what I was just wondering.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think the interest rate is a negotiable situation?
I think that's negotiable. This is why I keep telling you guys, get an attorney.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to an attorney tomorrow.
No. Beforehand. If you had an attorney represent you in this matter, he or she would have had a responsibility to go over and reconcile the numbers.
Yeah.
And they would have picked up the mistake. And you may or may not wanted to refinance at that point. I don't know. But that's why what kind of business was this?
It's in a medical field.
Well, see, I think you ought to do what you do, and let the attorneys do what they do, the accountants do what they do.
Yeah.
And you're trying to do what they do. But you'd be insulted if they come in and try to do your job.
Yeah.
Well, why should they not be insulted when you try to do theirs?
That's true.
I just think...
You know, basically, I know I'm just wondering if it's in my best interest to try to negotiate the interest rate and the terms of what needs to be paid back.
That can be, if you can demonstrate you don't have the money, that can be negotiated.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean, you can't negotiate down to nothing, but they're going to be, they want to cover themselves.
Right, okay.
So you can, that can be done. But it's hard for me to believe that an intelligent man like yourself couldn't pick up a 20 grand error on a $120,000 deal. If it was a $2 million deal, 20 could get lost. But when you're talking about a 17% error of the original principal, it's hard for me to believe you didn't pick up on that.
Yeah. I guess we just weren't paying.
Well, I guess you were so thrilled to see that low number, too.
Yeah, I was, I guess.
I wish you well, guy. That's why I just keep explaining to you folks, it truly is to your advantage to use professionals when you have these transactions. The price is cheap. Hey, we're going to be here tonight. Yeah, munching on shrimp and having a great time. You're invited to the party from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be taking your calls off the air at 800-743-8000. I do hope you participate. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. South Yarmouth, Mass. Hello there.
Hello there, Bruce.
How are you on the Cape?
I'm fine. It's beautiful weather out here, and we're enjoying listening to you as we do every night.
Well, thank you very much. What can we do for you?
Well, I was wondering if you can give me any ideas on retirement investing. I would like to try to accumulate between $500,000 to $1 million by the time I retire.
Hold on.
I'm 44.
Well, you have to hustle, kid.
I know.
Or retire late, one of the two. How much money can you afford to invest?
Well, I can put away $300 a month.
And how much do you have to begin with?
Well, right now I have about $27,000.
I don't think you got a prayer hitting those goals.
Invested in mutual funds and stock market.
Well, just figure this out. You get $3,600 a year, right? Round numbers.
Yeah.
For 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Principal, 36 times 10, 72,000.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how in the world you're going to parlay that into a half to $1 million.
Well, what about with the stock market?
Well, I mean, you have to hit some very, very... If you could have hit Neutrogena the other day, going from $6 to $34 in one day, you're before the baby's born. That doesn't happen very often.
Well,
and it happens even less that people like you or me get a piece of the action.
Well, I have about $15,000.
Let's do it.
In the stock market.
You know what the rule of 72s is?
Every so many years it doubles.
Whatever, that's right. Whatever number you divide into it.
Yeah.
So let's assume that you can get 15%. Boy, that's hell of a performance. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's make a little less than 50, make it an easy number. But every 5 years your money doubles. So let's assume that you got right now, how much did you say, 20,000 in cash?
27,000 invested.
All right, let's say 25 for an easy number to play with. All right, let's make it 30 when we're going to add what you're going to save. That 30 would, if it multiplied the way we described, which would be very, and you pay the taxes from some other source, that would have become 120,000 in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not, I just think you have to be. You're starting late. You see, if you started 25 years ago, it'd be a different story.
I see. So there's no chance with
I didn't say there's no chance. There's always
turning over in the stock market.
Well, if you hit the right stocks, I mean, but if you have to be so far above the averages, has to be scary.
Yeah. What about if you're going with a big brokerage house that?
What's that got to do with anything?
Well, they have better information, don't they?
Without regard to that, if you went for the Standard & Poor's averages, pick anything, any standard that you choose, you'd have to outperform it geometrically. Now, there are mutual funds that have increased 50, 75% in a year, and then the same fund may lose a ton the next year. But I just don't think that, I'm not saying it can't be done, certainly, But you are going to have to be extraordinarily aggressive, and that means you got a good shot at losing as well as winning.
I see. Is there some type of financial consultant that I could speak with, or?
There are a lot of guys will tell you can make a fortune with a little bit of money.
I see.
But the chances of losing are geometrically increased.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think your ambitions are certainly laudable, but you're late.
Yeah.
Or you have to earn more money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, tell me about you a little bit. How much do you earn a year?
About 40,000.
What do you do? What do you do for a living?
I'm an accountant.
Well, what do you do on weekends?
I work part-time.
Because if you worked every weekend, if you only work 5 days now, you might be and made a decent amount of money and invested every penny, you might get there.
I see.
I'm not so sure the sacrifice is worth it.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have.
Do you have any other strategies? What about going to the casinos? What are the chances of hitting?
But how do you think they build those casinos, on winners?
No.
No, those beautiful chandeliers were not built by winners, baby. They were built by winnings. The winnings of the casinos.
So there's no real way to win it big there. I have a friend who likes to go to the casinos.
Well, I enjoy going to the casinos from time to time as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't delude myself, and this is a way to make a living.
No. So do you have any other strategies up your sleeve? Excuse me.
Let me see. Are you married?
Uh-huh.
Well, how about calling your husband Clyde?
Yeah.
And you become Bonnie.
Yeah.
I mean, the tenure is a little short, but so Willie Sutton said, the reason I rob banks is that's where the money is.
I see.
But no, I think that you certainly want to give it your best shot.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, you're getting a little bit late start at it. But hey, shoot for the moon to get over the fence.
Thanks a lot, Bruce.
I do wish you well, but forget that casino routine.
Oh, sure.
Hey, who's working tonight, Danny? Well, as Mr. Dan Rudd is our producer. Dean Everett is spinning all the dials and making the thing sound so good. Mr. Walter Armstrong is in master control, and I believe Paul Hill is our operations manager. Good guys to work with. And I should remind you that we'll be working late this evening. We will indeed. Yeah, we're going to be here from something on the order of 10 o'clock Eastern time right through, it's hard to believe, 3 a.m. And during that period of time, we'll be talking to dozens of you about whatever's on your mind at 800-743-8000. And of course, it's on tape for broadcast at a future date. Hope you're part of it. Me, I'm Bruce. This is Talknet. You have to determine what the square foot, what kind of business is this? Let's start with that. Retail, wholesale, what?
It's a bowling alley business.
Okay, fine. Now you got to figure out what in that area, if you're renting a building for a bowling alley, what the legitimate price would be per square.
I see.
I have no idea. In the middle of Manhattan or the middle of Los Angeles, it's certainly going to be different than in the middle of Boardman. You can appreciate why. For the reasons of taxes, maintenance, all those things. And then, is it a sweetheart deal for the guy who negotiated this, which is a very distinct possibility.
Yeah, it certainly looks like that's a possibility.
Yeah, but it's not a foregone conclusion. I wouldn't want to go in there romping and stomping with my combat boots till I've done some homework if I were you.
Okay. I see.
And then that's going to take some effort. How come this place has never shown a profit? Is it they're doing any business?
Yeah, it does business. That they just breaking even every year. We break even, and I just.
How did you get into this?
Friends, from the start.
With friends like this, who needs an enemy?
Well, yeah.
How much money do you have in it?
I got in at the ground floor, so I've been.
Lucky you.
Yeah, right.
How much?
I'm not disappointed in that end of it, but it's been up a long time. We're talking 25 years here. So.
How much have you got in there?
I would rather not say I don't have all that much in there,
Okay. But you've got nothing for it for a quarter of a century.
Correct.
Lovely. How many stockholders are there?
Only about 5 or 6.
And how many of them? Was there one major stockholder, the operator?
Yes.
And how is he doing?
Only outwardly, I could say he's doing all right.
Is he getting a salary? You look at the books. Is he drawing a salary down? If so, how much?
No, he's not drawing a salary. No.
Well, who is?
Just the manager.
who has no interest in the place other than the fact it's a job.
You're right.
I don't know what to tell you. Is anybody interested in buying anybody out?
Not yet, no.
Well, without taking a look at the books and whatever, I mean, and determining how the money is being spent, how can one make an intelligent observation?
Well, I just wanted to know if it was normal, like, and you're telling me that in some leases like it, this is the way it's written up.
Oh, I lease money. I lease a building, as an example, as the owner to a business that I own. And they pay everything. Everything. Now, the lease is a very, that's taken into account. Let me tell you, it's much lower per square than that building would command.
So you might suggest that I go back and see how much the building commands, because if that price is too high...
That's another matter, absolutely.
Then that would be a little out of line.
Right. But I mean, I'm the only stockholder. Well, it's not true anymore. There are a couple other stockholders, but I was the only stockholder. But the idea was it was a lot cleaner to have, here's the building, here's the property, you guys take care of it. I don't want to know. And I also have buildings that I am leasing under similar circumstances. The landlord gets a check. He doesn't want any phone calls. The building is there. If the roof leaks, fix it. A wall falls down, your problem. A sewer line cracks, not his problem. And he has the same feeling that I do. I don't want that aggravation either to see. Nothing wrong with that. But then obviously the value of the footage is going to be reflected. You pay less per square.
I see.
Good luck, guy.
Thank you, sir.
25 years and no return. I'd be starting to be a little impatient about that. Daniel, where are you going to send me? Oh, I'd like to go to Clearwater, Florida and say hello. Hello.
Hello, Bruce.
Always talk to my neighbors. How are you?
I'm just doing very well. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Well, thank you.
I hope that you could give me some advice.
What's on your mind?
Well, I have a big problem with my roof. I had to have it replaced, and it was done 2 years ago, a cement tile roof. And I've had any number of leaks since it was replaced.
Hold on, let's back up a little bit now. It's a cement tile?
Yeah.
Could you describe what that means?
Well, they have a...
You mean like that mission style you see in Florida, the kind of the curved tiles?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And I've had many problems from the very beginning, and I have the damages to my house from it.
Mm-hmm.
I have stains just about on the resealing, and all of my gutters leak because they have to take that down before they can put them up. And serious problems with the roof. They come out to repair, and they did.
Mm-hmm. Well, what would you? Well, I mean, there's not much more you can expect other than when you tell them there's a problem, to come out and try to correct it.
Well, these problems happened while were ongoing from the very beginning, while they were putting up the roof. So when he was paid, he said that he would leave a certain amount of money out of that total. That I should give him X number of dollars less until I did all the repairs, and then he would
get paid.
No, he got paid almost the full amount. He didn't get the full amount.
Yeah.
And I withheld some.
Yeah.
He agreed to that because he didn't want to go through his insurance company.
No, I understand that. So
now he's getting very nasty because he can't find another leak that developed. And he said he should have taken he should have put a lien on my property.
Well, that doesn't hurt.
Well, that would keep me from selling it, wouldn't
That's true. You settle at that time. It doesn't hurt you right now.
it? No, but I don't want a lien on
Well,
it.
I understand that, but you have a difference. Have you tried calling someone else in to see if they can correct the problem?
I have a 5-year warranty.
I don't care about that. It wasn't my question. Have you asked anybody else to see if they can correct the problem?
What I have asked, and in fact it was at his suggestion, I asked a consultant. He has not come in yet.
Okay, that's essentially what I'm coming to.
The thing of it is, some of these repairs that need to be done, I think would past the 2,000.
Well, that may be, and you may lose some money, sweetheart. I don't know. But if it were me, I'd get another opinion or another expert or another contractor to come in. They may see something he doesn't.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't. That's what I would do. I can't tell you what I would do after that until I heard what they had to say.
Well, I expect that someone will be coming down, but the thing of it is, I don't like the idea of having a lien on my property.
Honey, let's not look. You're borrowing trouble.
Yeah.
You're borrowing trouble. Find out what the problem is first. If somebody else may see something he's overlooked. If it goes over the amount of money, then you'll have a disagreement in court if he doesn't want to settle with you. But why pay interest on a problem you don't have yet?
Well, the thing of it is, in my opinion, and I'm no expert, I don't think that it should matter whether I have all this stuff done now or when.
Well, it should matter.
It should?
Yes, ma'am. It should be done now because the meter has got to be turned off sooner or later on the warranty.
No, I mean, I don't know if I should let him kind of browbeat me into having all of these repairs done.
But why would that be browbeating? You should have the job done correctly and end your relationship.
I mean the repairs for which he's responsible, all the stains, all the dents everywhere.
Whether or not he's responsible for those is another question. I don't know. You may have to litigate that.
Yeah.
The first thing you ought to do is get the roof fixed. Then you're on the right track. Don't screw it up.
Right.
I wish you well, dear.
Thank you.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more. More Talknet. Come to North Platte, Nebraska. Hello there.
Hello, I respect your opinions a lot, and I wanted to know if you thought I was being spiteful and mean.
Oh, you sound spiteful and mean to me.
A few years ago, we rented a house that we owned to some people, and to say the least, they were less than ideal renters. And when they left the house, they left it open, windows broke, just mainly torn up, totally.
Sure,
so
the
I
kind of people that we all seek out for renters, huh?
Yeah, especially first time out. But so I took them to small claims court, and I was awarded a judgment of around $500 from them. And leaving the courtroom, the gentleman turned to me and says, "Well, you'll never see any money from me. I'll declare bankruptcy. I've done it before. I'll do it again. I don't care." And left. And he proceeded to do so. It was, according to the records that I received, it was the third time in 3 years they proceeded to do so.
You can't go bankrupt in 3 years. You can only go bankrupt once every 7 years.
Well, they use different chapters in 2 different states.
Well, bankruptcy is a federal matter, not a state matter.
Well, that's what I thought, but according to this, or maybe they just filed and weren't allowed to go bankrupt before.
You're only allowed to go bankrupt every 7 years.
Okay. Well, they were allowed to go through their proceedings. The judgment that was given me was forgiven in the bankruptcy.
What do you mean forgiven?
I would get none of it because it was on damages. The only people they were being made to pay back were the ones that actually had products sold to them. The way I understood it, from the material I got in the mail. Well, I just got a letter here the other day, and they now are asking the court to allow them to borrow $15,000 to buy a brand new minivan. And part of their reasoning behind this is she would be allowed to substitute teach that way to pay for the minivan payments. Well, the interesting thing is she lives across the street from a school. So I don't think she'd really have to drive.
Well, she might not be able to. Substitute teaching, you generally sub in a lot of schools, not just one.
But, she wouldn't be guaranteed that amount anyway.
That's not right.
And,
why are they calling you?
Well, they sent letters out to all her debtors, I take it. The paper I got said forms were sent to, and it lists the same people that were debtors in their bankruptcy suit.
Well, apparently they didn't go bankrupt. Otherwise, if the debts were discharged, they wouldn't have to contact you. So apparently they are not bankrupt.
But
they may be under some kind of court protection.
There was a Chapter 13, I think, on this one.
The Chapter 13 is wage earners bankruptcy. That is a protected bankruptcy. You're right.
Okay, but it just said if you have any reasons that maybe they shouldn't be granted this, to send a letter to the court.
Well, go ahead and send a letter.
Well, that's what I was wondering. You know, I think, well, maybe I'm just being mean and spiteful, but then again, I think, you know, they stuck me before, and not only me, but my bank, my doctor, the hospital, you know, ways that I'm still paying for them. That, well, that was mainly what I wanted to know.
I would sag right back to the court and say that your experience with them indicates they are totally unreliable, and that experience has been reflected by others. And your opinion that money should be, if she has to get to work, let her get to work in a $500 car, not a $15,000 car.
Well, that's kind of what I thought. So thank you.
Good luck, kid. I don't think that's mean and spiteful at all. I think it's being realistic. Sebring, Florida. Hello.
Hello, Bruce. How are you?
Super.
It's a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks so much for taking my call.
I'm glad you're here.
Tomorrow, there's a nationally syndicated news type program that's coming to Sebring to do a story on a friend of mine.
What show?
American Journal.
Who does that? NBC, is that?
It's nationally syndicated. I'm not,
By who?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I've never seen the show myself.
Okay.
At any rate, they're coming to town tomorrow to do a feature on someone who lives here in town. And it's a
complimentary feature or otherwise?
It's complimentary.
Okay.
There's money exchanging hands here. I don't know if that's what you meant or not.
No, I mean, is it complimentary? They come and do it. Is the guy infamous or famous?
Famous.
Okay.
A little of both, actually. It's a long story.
All right.
To make a long story short, the person they're doing this story on has written a song, and I recorded background music for it and performed all the instruments and all the recording. And I also did some singing on the background, and I am on the copyright. They want to use this song in the program, and I wonder how much I should be compensated.
I have the foggiest notion.
Oh, boy, you were my only hope.
Well, I really don't know. For a variety of reasons. I don't know how big a production company this is. Syndication could be 10 markets. It could be 95 markets across the country. The top 100. Who knows?
Right.
And then there's the other side of that is what's it worth to you to have that exposure? Let's assume that they are in a lot of markets.
It's a good personal friend, and
I don't know. It has nothing to do with personal friends. I want to know what it's worth to you in terms of having the national exposure to your song and to your work.
Well, to be blunt, I've got them over the barrel because I'm the only one who's got the tape that they want.
I don't care about that. That isn't what I asked you. I want to know how much value is there to your career to get for this BGM to get it played all over the country. Or put another way, who's ever heard of you before?
Nobody. I'm a local celebrity, maybe Sebring Highlands County.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get to. What's it worth to you to get on national television? It seems to me you'd be ready to give me your wife and first child if you're an ambitious performer.
Maybe I should just require that my name gets put in the credit.
I'd want to get if it were me, the few bucks involved would be secondary.
I see.
I'd want to get a lot of credit.
Okay, so I should look at that.
And then that may pay you nothing.
Right.
But you're not going to know unless you try it.
This has been the third time that the song was supposed to make it on to a nationally televised. One was an ABC program. It's a famous case down here in Sebring. I won't go into it. You don't want me to.
No, give me 15 seconds. What kind of a case?
You remember the baby swap conspiracy?
Of course, with the young girl that
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they're coming down to do a program about the girl's biological parents.
That's kind of old news, isn't it?
Well, it is, but around here they've gotten a lot of bad press.
Okay, well, the point is, from your perspective, it seems to me that if I would rather have that one possible shot at national exposure. Good luck. I'm Bruce for Talknet. Buford, South Carolina. Hello there.
Hello, how are you doing, Bruce?
Okay.
Been enjoying your show for 11 years, and I have a little question here I thought maybe you might be able to answer.
Well, I'll do my best.
Okay. I've seen several articles in news magazines concerning leasing vehicles for personal use as opposed to buying.
Yeah.
I've never been able to finish the article because it's usually been in doctors' lobbies and so forth, and I go to my appointment before I'm able to finish the first paragraph.
Hey, did you ever think about this? Are you sitting down now?
Yes.
Did you ever think about springing and buying one of the magazines? just once. I mean,
I never think about it when it's on my mind. So
I don't want you to be hijacking the doctor's magazine or anything like that. furthermore, I mean, if you go to the same doctor as I do, the magazines belong in some kind of an antique store. Oh, I'm reading away here, you know, the red hot news here. Nixon elected. You know.
That's exactly right. But I was wondering what the advantages would be. I have also seen advertisements in newspapers and so forth concerning that.
Well, it depends upon a lot of there's a lot of variables involved. The advantages to a business are clear, and I don't think we have to go through that. But the advantages to we have to understand that the genesis of the big push for leasing was to produce sales, because a lease is a sale that they weren't getting 2 or 3 years ago because people were so upside down. They talked people into 5-year financing, and they owed more than they had in their cars, and they had no equity to put down, and so on and so forth. Yeah. There are some advantages. For example, with a couple of luxury cars, Cadillac, Lincoln as an example, both of them offer programs where you can give them $11,000-12,000, and that's it for 2 years. No payments, no nothing. You're on your own for 2 years. Not a bad deal, considering the interest is no longer deductible unless you borrow it against your house. It depends on how often. Mileage is certainly a factor. If you're a high mileage driver, you know, a peddler or some sort, it almost never pays to lease. When you get that 40, 50,000 miles a year, it just does not pay to lease. Most of the leasing ads that you will see will be predicated on relatively modest mileage.
I see.
And a lot of people drive modest miles.
Yeah. So this would be like for a family vehicle.
Well, without regard to that, you know, some families do a lot of running around, some don't.
Well, we're looking at probably 10 to 12,000.
Then you're a low mileage. Yeah, you're a low mileage driver, so you'd fit within that. The next question is, how long do you keep an automobile? You the guy that drives the wheels?
That's the thing I was wondering. You know, you can pay off a car in 5 years.
You pay off a car. If you take 5 years, you can't afford the car. Did that confuse you?
Yeah.
if you got to finance a car for 5 years, in other words, that's the only way you get the payments down, where you can afford it.
Right.
Then you can't afford that car.
Can't afford the lease either.
Well, if you have to pay it off in 5 years, yeah, you're over your head.
Yeah.
Then you have what are called open-end and closed-end leases. Okay. A closed-end lease gives you the option at the end of paying it off or turning it in, and then you have to determine if you're going to pay it off. How is the price determined? Is it determined in advance or at some yet to be used formula? That has to be understood. And then you should realize that most leasing companies, if you do turn the car in, get very, very picky about things that I don't believe they should. You know, a little ding on the bumper or something. That's right. You got to come up with some extra dough. But on the other hand, there are some advantages. One, that it's frequently little or no down payment. Sometimes there is. Frequently, you can, well, not frequently, but you can get maintenance included leases, or the maintenance is on you. Right. There are circumstances where the insurance can be provided by them, more often by you. But there's not many permutations. And then we get into the times when the major finance companies like GMAC, Ford Motor Credit, Chrysler Credit, and so forth, will make money available at a very, very cheap price for leasing to encourage the leases, 1.5%, 2.5% money. And if you catch one of those sales, sometimes there's an advantage. But when you lease a car, somebody's paying for it. You pay for it. What I'm sort of getting at is the money has to be fronted someplace.
Right.
And that is going to be paid for by you, the consumer, as you should. But you got to compare.
So the advantages may be a wash as far as...
There may be a plus, maybe minuses, maybe a wash. There is no one-size-fits-all. And there's no uniformity of leasing. There are all kinds of deals around.
I see. You have like buying the car. Then.
Exactly so. And there's nothing immoral about that.
Right, right.
As I mentioned, one of the newer innovations is you put so much cash up, which obviously that's not going to be of interest to you, and that's it. No more payments. But those are largely deals offered on luxury cars.
So most of these things in the paper, or at least in the paper from the dealerships, are mostly hyper.
No. I'm just saying that the single payment deals are usually the high end.
Oh, actually, which, yeah, okay.
I'm not saying you couldn't get that on a lower price car, but I think the experience shows them that people that buy the lower price cars couldn't afford to put the cash up. Where people who buy the Lincolns, the Cadillacs, the Lexus of the world, some of them do have the ability to put up.
They were dipping in the pockets that they couldn't dip into with their deals the way they were.
Well, not necessarily. It's just another way to encourage you to buy. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
All right. Okay. Well,
yeah, but you've got to compare.
Yeah.
You just simply can't say off the top of your head, this is good, this is bad. It doesn't work that way.
Well, I thought, the way the papers read, and I've heard a couple of people talking too, that leasing was definitely the way to go, but that's...
I don't think there's any one program that's the way to go for everyone.
You just have to weigh one against
You've got it exactly against you. But I think that the statement I made before is a sound one. If you can't afford to pay it off in 3 years, then you are buying something beyond your means.
That's a good rule of thumb, then.
I do wish you well, my friend. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. We go now to Utica, New York. Hello there.
Yes, Bruce?
It is I.
Yes, I'm going to be getting a securities license to sell mutual funds, and I want to be new in the business, and I haven't sold before. I wanted to kind of focus my efforts, and I talked with an accountant. He suggested that the best retirement plan, or the easiest, I should say, to set up for a small business would be the SEP IRA. And what I wanted to know is the difference that a small business would seem to me would tend to have their own accountant, whereas a self-employed person such as a doctor or a contractor may not be.
They'll have their own accountant too.
Yeah, and they wouldn't. And I guess what I want to ask you, a few questions if I could, but
I'm not sure I'm going to be able to answer, but go ahead.
But would initially, since I'm just starting into the business, which one would be more receptive? Not having a relationship with your accountant
I think when you first begin in most of these enterprises, you start out with people you already know.
Okay. Well, I have that in mind.
Well, then the next thing is to go out and cold canvas. And, of course, the other thing is to try to make deals with accountants that already have and similar professionals. But you realize that a lot of those guys, they also write mutual funds themselves. They aren't going to want to talk to you.
What about the idea? Is it a good idea to just solicit like small businesses that may not have a SEP IRA?
You can solicit any place that you think that you're going to find some action.
Mm-hmm.
You're a prospector. You're a miner. Got to go out and start turning rocks over. There's no magic bullet.
Yeah. As far as the on-hand selling, can I just walk into a business and ask to talk to the owner, or
why not?
It's a self-employed person.
Why not? Why not? Doctors, you have a tough time getting to see. They have defense forces outside the door.
Okay.
But of course, you can go out and you walk in and you try to solicit.
I was told by other salesmen it's better to make an appointment.
What works for you?
Yeah.
Try them both.
I can't. Small businesses. Do you prefer the SEP IRA, or do you prefer the employees themselves?
I can't get into that with you.
Okay.
And because that wouldn't tell us anything.
Yeah.
What you're looking for, though, is I think, kind of an easy way about it. There is no easy way.
Well,
there's nothing magic. It may be that you're the best cold caller in the world. We're not going to know that till you made a couple hundred cold calls.
Yeah, I think I would do better going into the business to talk to the owner themselves.
If you can get in to see him.
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah. Should I focus first on the plan? Like
you're not listening. You're not listening. You're not listening to me.
Yeah.
You're not listening.
Yeah.
You've got to go out and try different approaches on different products and see what works for you.
Okay.
There's
nothing written in stone.
Absolutely. There is nothing written in stone.
Okay.
I mean, I know guys who are the best cold kids. I know one fellow working for us. Man, he'll get in to see you. I don't care. He'll work it out. He has more ways to work it out than Scheherazade had stories in 1,001 Nights. He's very good at getting in to see people, which means he's a good peddler.
Okay,
so that's his strength. No, I don't care I can't tell you what you can do.
Sure.
You're going to have to find out what you can do by trying different things and rejecting those that don't work and perfecting those that do.
Okay, well, thank you, Bruce. For your
Good luck with it, kid.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Now, if there was a magic bullet, I'd be glad to share it with you, but I know of none, and I'm kind of glad there isn't any. Port Huron, Michigan, hello. Port Huron, are you there? I love it when this happens. Dan? Bay City, Michigan, hello there.
Hello?
Hello, Bay City.
Hi, this is Chris.
Yes, Chris.
I had a slip and fall accident at the beginning of the year, and I was at a major car dealership.
Yeah.
And what had happened after I fell, I went into labor.
Oh,
and I was in the hospital for a week. And while I was there, they gave me some medication. I almost died from it. And needless to say, I was on bed rest for the rest of the pregnancy. And he came.
How long was how pregnant were you when this
6 months.
And you were incapacitated for 3 more months.
Yeah, he was 3 weeks early. And he was healthy. But afterwards, I started having problems with my hip because I wasn't able to get up. It was hard to, tell if I was having any problems.
Well, what was the cause of the accident, Chris? Well, how was the automobile dealership negligent?
What had happened is I slipped and fell on the ice. It was on the sidewalk. I parked in the handicap to go inside because my children were in the car and I didn't want to leave them where I couldn't see them. And so I parked it in the handicap, walked inside, and I got out and I took a couple steps and I fell.
I mean, was that negligent on their part?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you're in an area of the country where there's lots of ice and snow in the wintertime.
Well, no, the parking lot, nothing was plowed at all that day. I mean, you could clearly see that it wasn't plowed at all.
Well, maybe that means you shouldn't go there.
I don't know.
Well, that's the position I would take if I were on their side. I'd say, well, the parking lot wasn't clear. What was she doing there? We didn't have time to get to it yet, or it was in the middle of a storm.
No, it wasn't. It was a sunny day out, and it was way past noon.
Well, when did the snow fall?
A couple days before.
2 days?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. Well, I'm just not trying to pick on you, honey, but
I know.
I'm just trying to figure out, where the liability, where the negligence is on their part.
Okay, so I don't know how negligible they would be, but I got out. I was parked in a handicapped, and I was walking on the sidewalk. And well, anyways, afterwards I went to physical therapy, and it's just an injury that's going to take time to heal. And the insurance adjuster wants to settle an amount, but she only wants to settle an amount that's only $1,000 above my expenses. And I don't know if maybe that's a fair amount or...
Well, what do you feel the other $1,000 should be for?
I don't know. I was in the hospital for a week. I almost died.
Well, that was partially because you were pregnant. Was it not?
Well, yeah, but if they had plowed their sidewalks and salted, at least put some salt down, I wouldn't have fallen.
Maybe. We don't know that.
Maybe.
Possibly you would, possibly you wouldn't. I don't know what the answer there is, Chris. You might want to describe. Might want to see an attorney, but I'm sure the attorney will see it differently than I. Whether they were negligent or what degree the negligence was, what degree of care you should have exercised. In other words, you drove up, this place is covered with snow. I'm 6 months pregnant. I stay in my car. That might be a legitimate sequence of events.
Yeah.
Was there something so urgent that you had to go in there?
Oh, no. Well, our car broke down in the middle of December, and it was a month later. We're still looking for a car. So I'd say it was kind of urgent.
Well, that could be argued, I think. I mean, maybe your husband should not looking for a car.
Yeah.
The unpregnant person. I don't know, Chris. If you're concerned that you're not being well treated, then I think you might want to see an attorney. But you have to understand that you're going to share a third of the money that comes in. How much are they offering you right now?
My expenses so far come to about $5,400, and she's offering me $65,000.
You could probably settle it out for $8,000 or $9,000 by yourself.
For what?
8 or 9 by yourself.
Okay.
Maybe even more.
But
But you realize that there's no reason why you should use an attorney, but he's going to have to get a ton more to get you right where you are now.
Yeah, I know. That's why I didn't know whether that'd be worth my while going and talking to someone.
Was that their first offer, $6,500?
Yeah.
Go back and ask them for $15,000.
Okay.
And they know that you're shooting high and you know you're going lower. You should be able to settle for a lot more than that.
Okay.
But the negligence fact, well, I guess they consider themselves negligent. I have a little bit of a quarrel with that, but that's another program. I do wish you well, sweetheart. Let me remind you that we're not going home tonight. Danny and I are going to stay here, something on the order of the next 5 hours from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., taking your calls off the air at 800-743-8000. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Jackson, Mississippi. Hello there.
How you doing, Bruce?
I'm doing real well.
First-time caller and a long-time listener. I enjoy your program.
Well, thank you.
I own some residential rental property, and myself and a partner, we currently have the title listed in my name and his name with 50-50 ownership each. And I'm wondering, would it be best to leave it like that, or transfer the property to like an S corporation or a C corporation for purposes of protection?
Well, protection is one thing. There's no that I know of any major tax advantage. In fact, there may be a tax liability in transferring it. Okay. You just have one property, right?
28.
28 properties?
Yes, sir.
And they're all in your own names?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm not sure I'd do that either. Texas, hello there.
Hi, Bruce. This is Mike.
Yeah,
I've been
Mike.
listening to you for years and never have called, but thought I would take you up on this one.
I appreciate it. Help me out, kid.
I was at a travel seminar this week for the American Society of Travel Agents, ASTA, and one of the speakers was from the Federal Trade Commission.
Right.
There is actually a brochure available through the Federal Trade Commission.
Yeah.
It's called Telemarketing Travel Frauds.
Right.
He went into great detail. It was one of the attorneys from a regional office.
Where was the convention held?
It was in Galveston, Texas.
Okay, I just want to kind of, establish your bona fides. That's all. Go ahead.
Yeah. The Federal Trade Commission does have a brochure available if anybody wants to write to him. He went into great detail going over some of the current travel frauds that are out there. I'm not saying that this one is a fraud, but in most cases, these type of things involve a condo timeshare type situation. You got to go through the routine and see all that business. Or the other thing is, once you get into this, they want your credit card first off. Never ever give a credit card number over the phone.
Well, is there any way anybody can provide a round trip from Seattle, Washington to Orlando, plus the ferry boat ride to the Bahamas, plus meals, plus a hotel for $300+ a head?
Not that I'm aware of.
I do a lot of traveling, but I've never heard of a deal like that before.
Most all of them are. You get into this taxes business. First of all, if you read the fine print on. Did the fellow have a brochure?
He has a brochure which he is faxing to us. Yes.
Okay. If you look into the brochure, the fine print, a lot of times it will say subject to availability and or similar accommodations. And then when you actually get, and also you're not, you have to pay the taxes. When you get into paying the taxes, it gets into, they add one charge.
Well, he claims that they're adding only $60, so still brings the total to $360 a head, which would be an incredible bargain where I'm sitting.
Absolutely, no question about it.
You see, I saw one of these ads. I'm trying to think where it might have been. In fact, I know it was in one of the national newspapers in the last few days. Now I'm looking at these numbers and I know what it costs to fly from A to B, even when you get a bargain fare.
It's impossible. You can't fly from A to B, stay in a hotel, and then take a cruise over to the Bahamas. There is a one-day cruise over to the Bahamas.
Well, that's a ferry boat. That's a ferry boat ride, essentially.
A little gambling junket for $50 or some such thing. But
I've been on that.
Yeah.
But the Federal Trade Commission does have a brochure, you say?
Sure.
Well,
I'll fax it to you if you want me to, or send you a photocopy of it, or give you the address to the Federal Trade Commission to write to.
We're going to do both. Stacy will take your, if you'll hold on, she'll give you a fax number. If you fax it to us, we have it right away, and then we will send for a couple of copies, and then give a little more information over the air about that. I thank you very much, my friend. Well, Fairbanks, you're going to send the stuff to us. We'll take a look at it. We'll also contact the Federal Trade Commission to see if they have any information on this particular deal, and we'll get back to you. Fair enough?
Okay, great.
Okay, Guy. Thank you very much. It's just, there's too good to be true. No, there are promotions. For example, one of the airlines. No, isn't this terrific? They ran an ad, $99. You can go from A to B. It was a very good rate. But you had to call them, and you couldn't buy it through a travel agent because they weren't giving up any commissions. But I haven't found anybody. I know Stacy said she called for 2 days. My daughter called for the better part of a day with automatic dialing. Never got an answer. And we finally went to the airport and talked to them. Oh, yeah, well, those tickets are gone. But we've got another. We can go to the same place. Of course, it's going to cost you $60 more. You know, they give you 55 seconds in a commercial of how good it is, and they take it all away in 5 seconds. Or if you have a big ad in the paper, they take it away with certain restrictions apply. Yes, you've got to be traveling with a pregnant woman of over 80 years old in a wheelchair on Meridian Day with a bouquet of roses in her arms, and there are only one seat per flight. I mean, cut me a break. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Corvallis, Oregon. Hello there. Corvallis, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Let's do it, kid.
Oh, I just want to tell you I love your show. I've been listening to it for about 7 years.
Oh, son of a gun. You're an old-timer. Thank you.
But I can only listen in the car because we just get terrible reception here.
Well, you know, if you keep listening, another one of my little projects I've got going is we are going to be, very candidly, selling on the air radios that you can listen in the house, and you'll be able to listen in the house.
Oh, how can you do that?
Well, I'll tell you how. If you take I'm very serious. What's your first name?
Lisa.
Lisa, what kind of car do you drive?
Pickup, a Toyota pickup.
Okay, the chances are, Lisa, the radio in that truck costs about $300 to $400, and you have an outside antenna.
Right.
The chances are the radio in your house costs under $50, and you have no outside antenna.
Right.
With a decent radio and an outside antenna, you can hear everything you can, and more, inside the house. I mean, most people, me included, now I do have a pretty good radio in my home down here in Florida, that's true. But most of us have a clock radio with an AM and FM for $20. Well, you can't, and no antenna on it. Well, you can't expect to get much reception on a piece of equipment like that. And if you're willing to spend $100 to $150 on a good radio, you'll be able to get stations from all over the country and with clarity you can't imagine inside your home.
Oh, that would be great.
Well, we're going to be peddling in about 3 months. Oh. We are looking for the appropriate equipment at a price that we feel we can deal with.
Well, good. I'll be looking forward to it.
Okay. So, what's on your mind, hon?
Well, I'm thinking of starting a pet services business where I will take care of people's pets in their homes while they're on vacation, or drive them to the vet or the groomers, just anything they could think of that they would like some help with.
That's a constant problem with me and Mickey the Mutt, because I travel a great deal. You had to see this dog. I digress regularly. You don't mind, do I?
Oh, no, I love to hear about dogs.
I brought Mickey down to Florida with me on this last trip. And, of course, they have a maximum size that you can put the dog in and carry him into the cabin, right?
Oh, yeah.
This was like stuffing a sausage into the skin. I mean, getting him into this cage was an interesting situation. So I went to the vet beforehand and got him tranked up pretty good.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they gave me some pills, which I poked down his throat 2 hours before flight time. By the time he was walking through the airport, I mean, he was flying. He was flying long before the plane left the ground, right? So I pushed him into this little cage, shoved him under the seat, never heard from him the whole 2.5-hour flight. Now I have to extract him from this thing. And I take him outside because I think maybe it's time to visit the necessary room, which is the local palm tree, right?
Right.
Only problem is he is still stoned. He tries to lift up his leg and fell right on his you-know-what. It's the funniest thing you ever saw. The poor dog is stoned out of his mind. But he made the trip without any problem. Now, but as I started to say, I face this. I have a dog sitter. I mean, I don't want to put him in a kennel, in a cage, or in a run when I go away.
Right.
So I have a lady that takes him into her home, and treats him just like a pet and part of the member of the family. I think with cats, you could leave them home and somebody could, my daughter, I know when she travels, has someone comes to her home because cats are a little more independent than dogs.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how you'd leave a dog home by itself, or even if you had somebody like you come over 2 or 3 times a day.
Well, that's like my dog is a outside-inside dog, and actually a woman did this for me, and then we moved, and I thought maybe I'd start doing it here.
Well, there's certainly, for someone like me, there are a lot of, I had to get fortunately one of my daughters was home last week, but I had to get a certificate in order to put him on an airplane. I don't have time. I don't have time to run to the veterinarian, and if Robbie wasn't available, I'd have been looking for somebody to do it for me.
If they're like an indoor-outdoor dog, then they can stay out during the day and come in at night.
Sure. If you get that kind of, if you have strictly a house dog, it might be a problem. And cats, as I mentioned, as you well know, are independent, and birds and whatever require some attention. I would think that there might be. How big a town are you in, or how big an area are you in?
This town has, I think, about 20,000 people.
How big an area, the general area? I think you need more than that to support this kind of a habit, is what I'm getting to.
Oh, well, I was mostly thinking of doing not like a 40-hour-a-week time job, but to supplement our income.
Uh-huh.
So I couldn't spend too incredibly much time with it.
Mm-hmm. I think something like that might work for you.
But my specific question was, what kind of insurance do you think, if I'm going into people's homes or if I'm driving their big show dogs around or something?
Well, you see, unlike a child, if you were running some kind of a daycare environment, a parent does not have the right to sign a child's rights away.
Uh-huh.
But a pet owner, as much as you might think of it as your child, you do have the right to sign your pet's rights away. What I'm getting at is that you could easily enough have your attorney prepare a very simple release that while you would exercise all diligence and care, you were not responsible if something were to happen to the animal. Now, the other side of that equation is, you are in people's homes.
Uh-huh.
And that can get a little troublesome because, the diamond ring that just disappeared, now you know how that goes.
Right.
Now, there is insurance that one can buy, but it would be expensive. And I'm not quite certain how you'd handle that. I know how it could be handled, but whether it could be handled in a fashion, that's right, within the framework of the economics involved is another whole question. And that's a question to ask a good insurance broker in your area. You explain that you'd be going into people's homes unsupervised, and you'd want some kind of a liability policy in case you're accused of something being missing.
Okay, and then they could tell you how much it would be, and you just have to decide
whether or not you could do that or not.
Okay.
But I'm confident the disclaimer, the waiver of liability with regard to the pet would be a relatively simple thing to have prepared by an attorney. And I would suggest that. Or limit your liability to a certain number. Your liability is limited to $500 no matter what. Or there's a whole lot of permutations here.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a good idea.
I do wish you well.
What kind of dog is Mickey?
Mickey is a Boston Terrier.
Oh, okay.
He's show quality, snorts like crazy, snores unbelievably, and is a lot of fun, a lot of company, and thinks this. I have a cover on the pool, not a pool cover to keep debris out because it's an enclosed pool, but it's to keep the heat into the heated pool. So Knucklehead didn't realize that, and he walks out on this thing. Now he's up to his elbows in water. It's big enough to support him unless you get to the edge. Didn't know what to do. Now he's standing out there about to his knees in water. I don't think he's going to do that again. I think he's a quick study. I wish you well, dear. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. Unhappily, we lost our friend in Fair and Plainfield. I would hope you'll give us a call back, and we'll try to explore what the best alternatives for his 40th anniversary trip will be. If you're listening and you can't get through a regular number, call us at 212 245-6040, 212-245-6040. Stace will remember your voice, and she'll call you back. Fair enough? In the meantime, Gainesville, Florida. Hello there.
Hi there, Bruce. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
Well, I'm a recent convert to your program.
Well, thank you.
Glad you could take my call.
I'm glad you're here.
My question is, I need a good car, a reliable car, and I have very little money.
Oh, move into my used car lot. Tell you what I'm going to do. This was only driven by a little old lady who was she was a non-religious and only drove it to church.
My question is, I keep hearing about these government auctions, about merchandise they pick up from drug dealers, and they sell it for...
Let me ask you a silly question.
Yeah.
Now, how can I ask this delicately of a lady? Are you alone?
Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah.
You're not at work someplace in the middle of the public, right?
Right.
Now, I want you to kind of take a surreptitious look at your chest. Is there a sucker tattooed on there someplace?
No.
No. Well, if that be the case, forget about it.
So, what, those rumors are just that?
They aren't rumors. Those are commercials.
Oh.
For the most part, where they're going to tell you, hey, Charlie, we went to an auction and he bought a $50,000 boat for $10 and got $6 change.
Right, you hear about that.
Yeah, you believe that? I got a bridge in New York I want to discuss with you. So if you like the Golden Gate, we'll take you to the west. I'll work on that bridge with you.
So there are no such things as government auctions?
Oh, no. Did I say that? No, what I said was there are no $10 Mercedes.
Okay.
I mean, they are hustling books for a lot of money and tapes and whatever. Was I asked to do a commercial? You bet. Would I do it? Not on your best day or worst day.
So there's really nothing to those stories?
Well, what I'm telling you is that they're hustles. Does it ever happen? Yeah. They can find one guy that got lucky. He went to an auction, and there was a blizzard, and nobody else got there. He got there by mushing his dog sleds in because he had lots of practice in the Iditarod. That's one thing. But how often does that happen in Gainesville? Now, maybe there could be a typhoon or something going through, or a hurricane, so nobody else got there. Then you might have had a shot, maybe. But ordinarily, I mean, these things just aren't happening. It makes great books. And as I said, I'm sure they can point to a certain one time it's happened. But it doesn't happen very doggone often.
Oh, so it's more like a waste of time.
Well, I think that might be a charitable way to put it. I would say it's a waste of your money because all the information that they want to sell you in these books, you can get from the government at no cost.
Okay, what I'm asking is, I get it from the government, I go to the auction, odds are it'll still be a waste of time.
Odds are it'll still be a waste of time.
Ah.
But you can go. What do you have to lose if you just go?
Sure.
I have no problem with
that. My second question.
Got to have cash, too, by the way.
I've heard they don't take checks or credit cards.
You got it.
My second question was, how does one get into voice announcing, such as radios, commercials, the voices you hear in the mall and on the airplane?
Wait a minute. You mean in terms of the announcers in the airport saying, Mary Jane Smith is wanted at the...
No, the recorded announcements that you hear sometimes.
You mean when you call and they say, all of our agents are busy.
Yeah, little things.
You will be taken in the precise order in which your call was received. And then it goes click.
Mm-hmm.
Stinky Dink Airlines has a special on this week. We're out there to earn your keys. That's what you're talking about?
Or XYZ salad dressing on the radio.
Oh, well, that's even more difficult, baby. I mean, that's called voiceovers or commercials. On the local radio stations, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, you have staff announcers who are working there anyway, do those commercials because they don't get paid extra for it. There are people like me that do commercials. And I do get paid extra and very well for it. But you're laughing. But you want the truth or you want to be romanced?
Okay.
Why do you suppose I get the job? Because of this program. I don't get it, because I'm moderately well known because of what I do here. And as a consequence, we do a lot of commercial work. But we also have full-time employees that do nothing but work on those commercials with us.
Okay, so
in other words, getting those kind of jobs are almost impossible.
You have to be already in the business.
You got to be somebody. That's right. One of the best-known voices of recent years has to be, and I can't think of his name. He was the editor on Lou Grant. Adams is his name, or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Well, he has a very distinctive voice. And as a consequence, he is in very large demand. And there are others like him that have distinctive voices, and thank the good Lord, from time to time I get a little work here and there. But if you want to go for television's a little different matter. The voice, again, I've done a few of those, and a lot of guys done a lot of it. But you have to be ordinarily an established commodity. They do have what are called in the trade cattle calls. And you go read a few words, and maybe you get somebody's attention. But it's a very, very tough racket. Highly competitive for the obvious reasons.
Definitely.
It's a very competitive enterprise.
And cattle calls would be found, what, in the trades? Or?
In the trades. Mm-hmm. Variety, billboard. And I don't think you're going to find them in Gainesville. For the most part. You're going to find them in New York. You're going to find them in Los Angeles.
So the best part for used cars would be private people and...
No, you have to look around, check the classifieds, talk to your friends. Hey, you know, not the worst thing in the world, too, to be riding down, West Main Street, and there's a car sitting there for sale with a sign on it.
All right.
Stop and take a look. But forget about making a fortune at the government auctions. I do wish you well. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet.
Talknet. 1-800-743-8000.
Brunswick, Ohio. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
Good to talk to you, and thank you for taking my call.
You're most welcome.
We listen to you all the time here. One question is, when you coming back to Cleveland?
By golly, you'll have to give WHK a call. It's been a while. What is the name of that? I keep forgetting the name of that theater. It's that theater in the round. Front Row Theater, right?
Front Row Theater.
Yeah. We've had a lot of fun up there, and I would hope one of these days they get to come back.
Yes, I hope you come back. Okay, got a little situation here. Okay?
Go for it.
All right. Last September, we had a concrete driveway replaced. The old driveway was around 13 years old.
We're talking about Portland cement as contrasted with bituminous.
Poured concrete cement.
Okay.
The old driveway is around 13 years old. It had some cracks in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We got a contractor to come in and do the job.
Mm-hmm.
All right. While he was doing the job, he had dug all the old concrete up and laid the forms and everything.
They removed all of the old stuff, huh?
Yeah, and he laid all new forms and resized it all up again. It's about 10 feet wide, about 50 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? What had happened was when he was gone, per se, at one time...
What do you mean gone?
Went to get a sandwich or something.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
His workers came to my wife and I and said that he is not putting any gravel base down on under your concrete. We questioned them, what's that for? And they all said that's for drainage and...
Absolutely. You don't lay this concrete down on dirt.
That's what he did.
Well, you're not supposed to do that.
I questioned him several times about it.
Wait a minute. Let's back up a little bit, and then we'll get his answer. Was there a contract that covered this deal, or was this done just on a handshake?
Per se handshake.
No, hold it. Never hold it. There's no per se. Either you have a written contract or you do not.
I had a price.
No, that wasn't my question.
Okay.
I said, do you have a written contract or do you not?
Not before he performed the work.
Well, that's the time, with specifications.
Right.
Such and such a test concrete, so many inches of 2-inch stone, so many inches of half-inch stone.
It was written out how many cubic feet of concrete it would take.
Cubic yards of concrete.
Yards that would take to do the whole project.
Well, that's nifty poo, but you also have to have a base level, a base course of rock.
All right, this is what I found out later.
Lovely.
I called the concrete mix company.
Yeah.
Usually they have someone there who's very, up on this. He agreed. I didn't say anything. I said, what should you do?
Yeah.
His answer was you should have 2.5 to 3 inches of gravel under your concrete.
At least.
At least. He said for drainage and for expansion on freezing.
Exactly so.
All right, guess what?
You let him pour the concrete without it?
No. Yeah. Okay?
Well, why did you do that?
He wouldn't do anything else.
Well, then you don't let him pour the concrete.
Well, that's the stone wall.
What do
I
you
was
mean?
up against the wall, yes.
What do you mean it's a stone wall? You say you're not on the job right now. Did you pay this guy in advance?
No.
Well, then why? I'm not trying to pick on you, but
I know.
I'm just trying to cut through. I don't understand why you would let him in there. You say, you're done, finished, it's over. And we'll hassle out in court how much I owe you at this moment, but you're not putting the driveway in unless it's done according to reasonable specifications. But then you were deficient in not having those specs spelled out in the contract before you let them on your property.
Right, okay.
Well, now the job like that, particularly in a climate like you're in, is not going to last for any period of time.
Right. Went out 3 weeks ago and discovered a crack all the way across. I called him.
Yeah.
And
did you pay him for this job?
Yes.
Why?
Why? I don't know.
Must be an echo in here. Why? Yeah, why? Why did you pay him?
When he got done, everything looked great. Okay?
Yeah, I'm sure it would.
Right, not knowing what's underneath. All right? Last week he came over and looked at it, apparently. I called him today, and he said that the crack was caused by an act of God.
What did God do to crack the concrete?
I don't know. I haven't heard the earth shake or anything around here lately. So this is my problem. And his answer was, he said there's nothing he could do to replace it.
That's not true, but it's going to cost a ton because you have to get it. Did he put in expansion joints in the driveway?
No, it's all one piece.
No expansion joints?
He didn't cut it. Those are your expansion joints.
I know what I know what an expansion joint is. How do you pour concrete in the middle of the cold country in Ohio without putting expansion joints in?
Right. All he did was put the slices. He didn't cut the hole all the way through the concrete to give it the freedom to move. He just took I don't know what they call it. It's like a dowel or growl or whatever you call it, and made lines across
a trowel, maybe?
Trowel to make it look like, it's been good separation.
How much did you pay for this?
$2,200.
Well, it looks like you're going to be in court, kid, because it looks to me like you got a lousy job. You have to get somebody to come out and say, yeah, they'll take a core sample to show that there's no proper base poured, or before the pouring, a proper base, that the expansion joints were